Select Board meeting to order. Tonight we're on RCTV, RCTV, Verizon and Comcast. We have a pretty big agenda tonight. Public comment, Select Board liaison, town manager reports, path dedication to Jamie Mon, hearing for request from Baker World to open early, traffic amendment hearing on a stop sign, vote to declare surplus fire department, ladder truck, discuss building permit fee schedule, discuss and vote on Bill Russell Committee, charter review committee update, that's a tough one, discuss volunteer appointment subcommittee appointments, and vote. Discuss and vote on select board nominees for temporary membership to the permanent building committee for the renting center active living project pursuant to section 3.2. Vote on extending sunsetting recalc until August 2024. Vote to appoint select board member to school committee athletics facilities naming advisory committee. Discuss and vote to execute Mass Clean Energy Center Renewable Energy Trust Fund membership agreement, and discuss our response to the OML complaint from Dan Newland. So if anyone would like to speak, I want to keep it to 2 minutes. I don't want to cut anybody off, but it's a public comment. If you're going to speak, do the best you can. I don't like cutting people off, and if you're going to wrap it up, you should be able to tell. So just not because I'm doing this on purpose, but Alicia has to leave, and Alicia requested to speak first.
Thank you. I'm actually not speaking. I'm actually speaking for somebody who couldn't be here tonight. I got an email asking if I would read this, and I said I would. So my name is Casey Moulton, and I live on Pasture Road. My apologies for not being with you in person tonight. As a result of the Jackie McCarthy April 22nd letter to the editor in the Reading Post and the Select Board's response to her resignation, I initiated a public records request for Jackie's cell phone, texts, and call log to try to understand our elected officials' conduct during the town manager search, as well as to try to understand others' potential involvement in her abrupt departure. Upon review of the information provided, two things came abundantly clear. One, Ms. Herrick wasn't truthful when she said twice that she did not speak to any select board member about the town manager vote. Two, Ms. McCarthy was bombarded with calls and texts about the vote, including from town meeting members, as she stated in her letter to the editor. Regarding Karen, on January 31st, she and Jackie had a lengthy exchange regarding multiple items related to the town manager search, including external candidates surprised at the high balance of free cash and one candidate who, quote, sank his ship when talking about Sharon Angstrom's approach to free cash. Regarding pressure from town meeting member Joe Carnahan, a FinCom member, called or texted Jackie numerous times to strategize on the town manager vote and to give his opinion on the best candidate. In one such text message, he included the OML violation, quote, would be disastrous if it delegitimized the outcome of the vote. In my opinion, his persistence bordered on harassment. Lastly, Linda Snowdoxer reached out to Jackie regarding the town manager search in a call that lasted 14 minutes. As a resident of this town, I am disappointed in the select board's non-action with respect to Jackie's resignation. I'm disappointed in the people identified above and Jackie's call and text log who played a part in her leaving the board. And I'm confounded at the swiftness with which all of this was played down and swept under the rug. What I've learned from this whole affair is that our elected leaders don't really want to understand what led to Jackie's departure. I've learned that there are two classes of residents, those who have direct access to our leaders' ears and those who don't have that privilege. And I've learned that you all just want to move on and pretend that lessons have been learned. Reading residents deserve better. This was an abbreviated version of what she wrote, and she'll be sending the longer version. And I also have handouts that have the text messages. I believe I didn't go through what I was given. So, thank you, and thank you for letting me go first.
Thank you. Any other public comment in the room? Marianne?
So be not too long. Select board members, you all received my email last week regarding MBTA communities and an option Reading could take to save our neighborhoods and our commercial. Namely, to do what other communities are doing and attempt to rezone over large existing multi-unit housing complexes that are unlikely to get torn down and redeveloped. You saw me ask it at the select board, at the MBTA meeting. You saw planning's response, and you saw the response from the audience of the Reading voters who elected all of you. And what was that planning's response? It seemed to boil down to, we can do it, we just don't want to do it. More specifically, planning answered when I asked, why can't we do what Burlington, Winchester, Woburn, Chelmsford, Norwood, etc. are doing, who are all doing this type of MBTA zoning? The answer was, we don't want to compare ourselves to other communities and what they're doing. We want to focus on Reading's needs. I ask all of you on the select board, what do you think of that response, of that answer? To me, that's a non-response. And the remark about not comparing ourselves to other communities shows how some of our town staff and leaders seem to suffer from a kind of confirmation bias. They want to compare us to other communities when it matches their goals, like enacting CPA, pushing for tiered water rates, green communities, trying to ban plastics, etc. But when it comes, we can't possibly compare ourselves to these other communities when it comes to what they've done with regarding enacting MBTA communities policies that protect residential neighborhoods. In that case, in contrast, Reading has to be a leader and innovator in creating more housing and giving the state all that it's demanding and more, no matter the impact on current residents and businesses. Those other communities also have other housing needs, and they're choosing options that minimize the amount of rezoning they have to do so that they can control the pace, which is something I spoke to and other residents spoke to. So finally, I ask all of you on this board, who ultimately is giving direction to town employees in deciding this? Where is the leadership? Where does it go? Are we leaving it all to the planner and his consultant? And who is this consultant and what goals have been given? You on the select board and you in town management have eyes and ears. You saw the level of disconnect I saw in that room last Wednesday. And you've seen the concerns expressed by many citizens going back to last fall. The ideas presented last week are still far from what they need to be. I will recognize that there is some improvement in at least running the numbers for some options residents have suggested, such as commercial only and considering more zones outside of downtown. But in my opinion, there needs to be also a consideration of running the numbers, or whatever you call it, of what I and others have suggested to see if we can rezone over other large multi-unit parcels like Reading Woods, Reading Commons, Gazebo Circle, you name it, if it's big enough, to see if we can truly minimize the impact on our neighborhoods, commercial and downtown. Call it paper compliance, call it picking things that will not really or unlikely to be result in more housing built. But whatever it is, at least run the numbers on that scenario too. We have some great leadership in Reading in many areas, but with all due respect to all those here, in my opinion, the leadership and direction need to be improved in the MBTA communities area. The planning and community development folks in our town hall report, as my understanding is, to the assistant town manager, who reports to the town manager, who reports to you, the select board, who reports to us, the voters. And the planning and community development department also gets guidance from and works with the CPDC, who you and the select board also appoint. In other words, you and the select board have the power to select the ultimate direction of this initiative. The planning department has only a few weeks to turn this ship around before the next public meeting. It is up to you, the select board, to direct our town manager and our staff to the direction that ship has to go, so that we can get to where we need to be. And I call on this select board to show leadership in this and to listen to the citizens of Reading and not ignore ways of complying that are working for other communities and that will preserve our neighborhoods and businesses. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I'm back.
Good evening, I'm David Monahan. I live on Maple Ridge Road, and I appreciate the chance to speak with you this evening. I understand that later this evening, you'll be taking up the issue of the possible creation of a Bill Russell Committee. And just in case it becomes an issue, when you're discussing that or a concern as to whether there are people in the town who are interested in and qualified to staff such a committee, I just wanted to let you know that I am interested and I think I might be qualified to serve on that committee. I've been living in Reading for 19 years. I care deeply about the issues that such a committee would be addressing. I feel like I have experience that would make me an asset to the committee. And so if it's created, I will raise my hand to say I would like to be considered for appointment. Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Jeff Peters, 38 Berkeley Street, and I am here to advocate for the formation of the Bill Russell Ad Hoc Committee. I've been in Reading about 7 years, a little more than that. I love the community. It's a great place to live. I grew up in Boston in the 60s and 70s. I bore firsthand witness to racial ugliness, violence that consumed the city back when we had desegregation and forced busing. It was an ugly, ugly time. The recent Netflix documentary on Bill Russell, which I assume you all know about, hopefully you've all watched, depicted Reading in an incredibly unsavory light. At one point in time in the 60s, when I was growing up in the city, it's reported that people in this town, this very town, broke into his home, defecated in his bed, and wrote the N-word on his bedroom wall in feces. It's horrific. It's a single, he was raising a family in a community he thought was safe. So imagine what the millions of Netflix viewers think of our town right now, and there were millions. It is to this that the committee would speak, to this issue and to this point, to acknowledge, to face up to what happened, to express our sorrow for what happened as a community, not individually, because none of us did anything. And also ask the question, how can we make it right? Or at least how can we make it better? What can be done? And that's what the committee would do. It's an ad hoc committee, it's a temporary committee. It would speak to this issue. I'd have to ask why we would not approve it. What scares me is if we do nothing at all to confront the ugly history of that type of behavior in our town. The proclamation we issued was nice. I think it was a first step. I think it was a good start. I think we need to set an example for the children in our schools, the people in our community, that we can help to heal some scars that may not exist for everybody, but they do exist for some. All of you guys campaigned in the best interests of the town. One day after a Celtics World Championship, and one day before Juneteenth, as a Reading resident, and I'm sure you share this sentiment, I really don't want to be pegged across the country as a town that physically defecated in Russell's bed in the 60s and then symbolically defecated on his legacy 50 plus years later. That would not be in the best interest of our town. That's the question I hope all of you ask when you vote tonight. If we are who we claim to be in the last paragraph of that proclamation, the vote should be 5-0. No pun intended, but it's a layup. That's the way I see it. And that would be nice. It would be nice for a lot of reasons. It's the right thing to do, but it would also send to the community a message from this board that even reasonable people can all still agree on the right thing to do and the best thing for the town. A 5-0 vote would be great. Thank you, appreciate it.
Hi, folks. Gena Filowski, 3 Herman Avenue. A member of the Reading Climate Advisory Committee. I am speaking as a resident, but I'm speaking about the Reading Climate Advisory Committee. So tonight you're going to go through and appoint a bunch of folks to different committees. 3 individuals that are slated to be potentially, hopefully, appointed to the Reading Climate Advisory Committee are Susan Bowe, Mark Ortis, and Warren Wolf. I believe there's someone else, but I'm not familiar with her. So Susan Bowe applied to the committee in 11 days. It'll be 1 year. So she applied about a year ago. Mark applied 10 months ago, and Corinne applied 9 months ago. And I'm saying that not to like dunk on the select board with regards to appointments, but rather to strongly recommend these individuals to their to be appointed to the committee. They've been systematically showing up to meetings, despite the fact that they're not members or associate members. They've actually volunteered for events that the climate committee has participated in, and they've helped out in a lot of different discussions that we had. They've actually showed up to multiple meetings where unfortunately the committee could not form a quorum. We were missing members at the time, because we still technically do. I would strongly advocate for their appointment. They're wonderful people. It's been great to get to know them. And a small minor recommendation, if I may, or suggestion. I don't know how typically the appointments are done. I know the last 6 months or so have been pretty rough. So moving forward, I'm wondering if the appointment committee can maybe meet up whenever, let's say there's 5 individuals that have applied for open spots, and just sort of bang that out over a course of half an hour, right, over Zoom. That's totally feasible nowadays. Or alternatively, if there's too many folks missing from a committee and there are folks slated to be or applying to the committee, maybe the committee can request sort of impromptu meeting from the appointment committee. Just a suggestion, recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room like to speak?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tony DiRezzo, 130 John Street, a member of the CPDC, up for reappointment tonight. However, I do not want to speak on my behalf. I want to speak on the behalf of Mark Wetzel, who is also up for reappointment tonight. Mark has an incredible history. He's a civil engineer. He's worked as the director of the DPW for air. He's been on the Conservation Commission for 6 years before moving over to CPDC. He was appointed a year ago to fill a vacancy. I think losing him would, and his knowledge would be a detriment to the committee. So if by some chance it comes down between me and Mark, I would absolutely suggest you go with Mark instead of myself. I know there are 4 people vying for 2 spots. The only other thing I would like to mention is that one of the people vying is a developer who currently has business or unfinished business in front of the town. I would not recommend including a developer for the CPDC. I know developers have asked for or applied for the Trails Committee, the Recreation Committee, but when you have a potential conflict of interest like this, I would recommend against it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room like to speak? The cloud?
Carolyn Whiting, 17 Chestnut Road, and I'll be very brief. I'm just here to support the appointment of the forming of the committee to investigate what we can do about Bill Russell and honor his legacy, because I think it's shameful what happened, and we have to do something. Please, thank you.
Thank you. I saw a hand up in the back.
Hello, my name is Maria Salvatelli, 25 Arnold Avenue. I'm here today to support the ad hoc committee for Bill Russell. And as the gentleman had indicated, it would be fantastic to move forward with that ad hoc committee. If we can think back to our childhood and think back to people that maybe have been special in your life, that you weren't able to reach out to them, and you look back and you think, oh, maybe that librarian helped me to pick out books, to get to know how reading has been so important to me. Or a coach that was special to you and you tried harder, you persevered. As an individual, you look back to these people and you think, how could I have honored them more or told them more about my admiration for them? As individuals, we realize that other people also have similar likes and admiration for the same people. So as a community, you look at that person and you think, how can we, as a community, honor that person? And I think we can do that, obviously, we've seen that, to honor someone that we've admired by giving them the name of a field house, the high school, or a field for a little lacrosse coach. I think it's important as a community that we honor someone that we've admired, a tremendous legacy for the Celtics, for the community as a civics activist. I think it's important for us to recognize that there are more people out here that want to give recognition to someone that we as a community admired and supported. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room?
Good evening, Select Board. My name is Reginald Nichols, 341 West Street, and I'm speaking in support of the ad hoc committee for Bill Russell. Short story, I know I only have 2 minutes, so I won't be long. My parents came up, they were part of the Great Migration from Northern Florida. They came to Boston in the 1950s. And back in those times when they lived in the South End, your athletes, you would see them. So they got it, they would see Bill Russell. And so when you think about someone like Bill Russell, back in that time, he could have just shut up and dribbled, but he didn't. He spoke up, he spoke loud, and he fought for not just for African Americans, but for all freedom-loving people. So, and when we come to this town, he was so overwhelmed with joy, and to what that ugly incident that happened to him and his family has left, indelible mark on this town. And so when I've been here 20 years, so when I initially moved here, my parents were like, the only thing that they could remember about this town was what happened to Bill Russell. But we chose to set up residence here. We've been here for over 20 years. Very proud. I'm a son of Boston, but I'm also now a proud resident of Reading. So I think I would be one of those who would step into the breach and be part of this committee. I think it's important when we think about the greatest, not only a great basketball player, but a civil rights icon, and one of the greatest players, in my opinion. Not that I know there's someone in Chicago that has a logo that they think is great. There's someone that's went to Cleveland, then they went to Miami, then they went to Los Angeles, and then they went back. And so now they're in Los Angeles. Is considered great, but in my opinion, Bill Russell, and that's my dad who still walks this earth at 91. Bill Russell is one of the greatest, not only great ball player, but one of the greatest Americans who fought for the civil rights and human rights of all people. So I think having an ad hoc committee is needed, and I'm one of those who will step forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. Ryan Johnstone, 88 Lowell Street. I didn't plan on speaking at all today. I just feel like I gotta say something right now. I also want to speak out in support of that committee. Short thing, there's a phrase, maybe a lot of you know it, maybe you don't. It's about racism. In the South, they don't care how close you get, they care how big you get. In the North, they don't care how big you get, they care how close you get. That's what it meant. Okay, that came out in the civil rights. That was a phrase going around. And here, Bill Russell, while winning all these championships for the Celtics, that incident that everybody's talking about, that we know about, that was brought up on that documentary, came on the heels of an announcement from the town supporting Bill Russell. Those in the town who didn't support him decided to, here's how we want to let you know how we feel about it, and go into his home, where he sleeps at night, defecate in his bad racial slur, destroy his trophies. We want to celebrate the Celtic. They destroyed his trophies in his home, following a speech from the town about how much we love him. They redlined him from being able to join in the community he wanted to go in, because that was legal back then. You could say, we don't want a black person in our community. The seller was petitioned from selling to Bill Russell from moving on another side of the town. Why do we want to make a proclamation? Because we want to claim him as a son of Reading, right? How do we claim him as a son of Reading and ignore what the residents did to him when he lived here? Thank you.
Anyone else in the room?
Actually, it's a surprise. I'm not speaking about the ad hoc committee. I just wanted to put a word in for Jamie Mon and naming the path to the woods. He gave his love, his care, his time, took away time from his family to help with the shepherding of our wood, our forest. And so when I was reading the packet, I loved that path might be named for him, so I wanted to speak in favor. And I also want to thank everybody here for showing up and speaking up for the ad hoc committee. Thank you. Oh, I'm Linda Snowdog, sir. Sorry, precinct 1. Sorry.
Anyone else in the room?
I mean, I'm probably Fillmore Phillip, Boston, Massachusetts. Fellow Reading Metco graduate as well. I just want to take the moment to thank the constituents and everyone who came to spend their time and say thank you for being supportive of this committee. Whatever happens, happens, but I'm very proud to be a product of this town and work this hard and diligent to get this far. So regardless of what happens, I'm still proud to represent this town. This is the town that created who I am, and without you all, I wouldn't be where I am now, proudly standing. Thank you, Select Board, for your time and your opportunity for taking up such a pretentious matter. I just want to give you all your respect and your time and just say thank you kindly. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room? No. Caitlin, anyone on Zoom?
I don't think so. Anyone raising their hand? Nope, looks like we're good.
Okay, thank you everybody for speaking. Select Board Liaison Town Manager Reports, Melissa?
Sorry. So I attended the MBTA Communities meeting the other night, as a lot of us did, to hear their input. Board of Health had their vote on the tobacco ban. They did approve that. I don't believe I have anything else in the liaison reports.
Right, thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Harold. Recalc met again in preparation for final recommendations to this board. We're gonna talk a little bit later this evening about a couple of things that fit with that. Bottom line is more discussion with the permanent building committee is kind of the next, I think, key activity. And then to be able to bring back a recommendation to this board. I think we talked about it in July or August, actually. Yeah, plus or minus. So, yeah, I think a little more discussion going on. There was a meeting today talking a little bit more about how we may approach questions about the different locations, and that's something I think we need to spend time with the PEC talking about, and then I think it needs to come to the board. So, the other meeting was, there was I think I missed it the previous time, but the trust fund commissioners met, and looking forward to hopefully appointing another person to that board, the person does. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you. I attended Juneteenth this past Saturday, and the weather was wonderful, and I think this was our third event, and it was the best ever. So I just had a great time. I hope everyone else got a chance to attend, and I thank you. I saw Matt there, saw Chris there. I'm not sure who else was there, but it was terrific. So the Killam School Building Committee met last night. We have a full summer ahead of us. We are looking forward to a presentation from the superintendent as to the educational goals and the programming, including a discussion of the need and educational requirement for a central pre-K option. And we also began reviewing our initial extremely rough order of magnitude construction costs and potential MSBA reimbursement rates. There is a possibility as well, I'm gonna share with the select board, the MSBA for the past 2 years has met, I think it's in December, it was late in the year, and has voted to increase the caps for projects, which means more money for folks in projects and submitting projects. So we do have one more opportunity for them to do that. I believe it'd be December of this year, and I'll keep my fingers crossed. The news is not that things are getting cheaper, they are more expensive. The cost of construction is very much staying high. So anyway, we have that to look forward to. We also have a sustainability work group, community meeting again. We'll be looking at more analysis of the optional HVAC options for our building. And I encourage everyone to look at killamschool.com and attend those community meetings if you can. So Melissa and I met on the VASC. We met at least 3 times to finish up the interviews and have our recommendations for this evening. I also attended the MBTA Communities Forum, and it was very well attended, and the library at the high school was a good choice given the crowd size. I appreciate Jane's first meeting in the hot seat, and you handled it very well. And again, thank you to all the CPDC members. I don't think that this is going to be something, the solution to this problem is not gonna make everyone happy, and those problems are always difficult to solve. So, we're gonna get there, and I appreciate everyone's hard work so far and ongoing. And then this week, the deadline for our Green Communities application is June 21st. So I was on the phone a number of times with our Green Communities coordinator, and also speaking with the RMLD general manager to review the contract to adopt the Mass CEC surcharge as part of that application. That's it.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Carl.
I'll echo the CPDC thing mentioned again, that I'm glad to see there was so many people in attendance. It was good to see people that I had no clue who they were. That's usually a good sign that we're getting out the information to people in town. So it's good to see that. To also address, I guess, or reiterate something, Carlo and I ended up having a meeting today with Andrew McNichol, Jane, and Matt to go over MBTA stuff. And I think that Andrew is gonna do his best, given the circumstances. Like Karen mentioned, not everyone's gonna be happy, but I believe Andrew is gonna take the feedback that was provided the other night and heavily weigh on which direction he goes. I attended the Juneteenth thing as well. I believe it was the 4th annual one, so it was good to see that. We had fantastic weather for that, followed by the fireworks that night with the Friends of Reading Rec. There had to be, thousands of people there. It was just a sea of people. And it's good to see that the parking lot that we did over there is actually getting used, and it's not just dirt and everything else. Which is also the ribbon cutting that we went, Karen and I, to the Lot 5 that's over there. It's about 18 parking spots. That ended up coming out quite well. It's a lot safer over there. It's a nice wooden guardrail going across, preventing you from parking and forcing you to go into the lot. So a lot of good's gonna come from that. And then the charter committee, I'll do that later on in my charter update that I have here as well. That's somewhere on the agenda, charter update. So the charter committee met, but I'll bring that stuff up then. And Matt will probably mention Porch Fest. If not, it's this Saturday. You can come to my house 12 to 2, but you can go to readingporchfest.com, I think. And they have the list of, like 80 different houses you can go to. And it might even be more than 80. So I know it's something more than Woodstock, but I don't know what the number was. 90s? All right, well, 90s. It's under 100 next year.
That's impressive. That's impressive. Thank you. So last night I attended the Recreation Committee meeting. Got there a little late, and when I got there, they were talking about Burbank Ice Arena and the RPPA, which is the Reading Pickleball Players Association, potentially wanting to put some pickleball courts on their parking lot. And that was a good discussion that they had, and as a liaison to the Recreation Committee, I will mention something on future agendas on that. And they talked about, CPA, because Eric Caffin is on the CPA committee, and we're only on our second meeting, but that's going well, so Eric kind of went over what we've been doing and what we plan to do going forward. I also attended the MBTA community meeting last week, and it was a very big turnout, and like Chris said, the word's getting out that we are gonna present the plan. And the meeting with Andrew today went well, in my opinion. Had a busy couple of weeks with appointment committees, finance committee, bylaw committee, and permanent building committee. And that's it. Oh, and that, well, the CPA, we met, it was only our second meeting, and we gave some tasks out to the various members that are part of the boards that would benefit from CPA, recreation, historic, affordable housing. So they were tasked with going to the boards and see what money we could have made if we're part of green communities, and what projects we have in the pipeline that would benefit, I say green community, CPA, and what are the benefit, going forward, what monies can we use towards projects. So that was covered. And that's it for me. Thanks. Matt?
So I attended Reading Friends and Family Day. It was a great event again this year, thanks to the Lions Club. Every year they pull it off. We had a little wind that day, but that didn't stand in our way of having a great event. We also did the ribbon cutting, as mentioned, down at the Town Forest parking lot, so just in time for summer. That lot is open and we hope it's well used. We mentioned the Juneteenth celebration. Albert did a great job and his team did a great job on that over the last weekend. So I wanted to give a shout out to him and his team. And again, remind people that the Zip Trip is coming up. We have a lot going on in Reading this week. We've got the Zip Trip on Friday, and I believe it starts at 7 to 10.
8 o'clock.
8, okay, 8. I think, I thought I had 6.
It's 6.
Well,
6.
Sorry, yeah, they're getting there early.
They're getting there like at 5, I think.
Yeah,
So,
they're getting there early.
But for the public, I think, 6 to 10.
Yeah.
So to come on up to that. So that'll be a great way to highlight Reading, and that is at Camp Curtis this year, so. Chris mentioned Porch Fest, that's also happening on Saturday. Check out the website for more information on that. Due to the heat, we are opening the library on Wednesday, although it's a holiday, we're gonna open it from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. So people stay safe and stay cool on those days, and public buildings will be open regular hours when it's not the holiday. Just briefly, our new tax collector, Yashira Gonzalez, started this week. Our new assistant assessor, Michelle Cohen, started this week. They replaced Janine and Phil, who both retired, so we wish them a happy retirement. And we are happy to have the new employees on board. We had a competitive pool of applicants, and I think I credit the recent pay and class study to having some great applicants in this round. So that's a little bit of an update for you.
Thanks. I forgot to give myself a plug.
Okay.
I was asked to be part of the Zip Trip. So at 8:32 precisely, I will be questioned on town trivia.
Oh,
So
boy.
we'll see how that goes. So that is at Camp Curtis, like Matt, to get there early. It's a great way to showcase the town. We had it, I don't know how many years ago, 15 years ago, up in the Common. It was a great turnout. They do a great job. We're the first one of the summer. So before we get to the agenda, I'm just gonna try to do my best to make the meetings quicker. So whenever we have a vote, we're gonna have the motion at the beginning, because we always have any discussion, just to try to get things moving along. The school committee does it. I'm gonna do my best, and just whenever we have a vote, only a vote, we're gonna announce the hearing, and then get right to the motion, so it's out there on the table. So next on the agenda, I don't know if anyone's speaking, but we have path dedication to Jamie Mon.
So we have Chuck Tyrone's gonna come up and speak, and also I believe his mom's son, Matt, is on the Zoom. So I'll hand it over to them.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Bachi and the rest of the select board. So I know that I'm here for Jamie Mon. I know Matt Mon's here. I know there are people in the audience that know Jamie and all the support and effort he put into this town. Jamie Mon first interviewed me when I arrived here in Reading, and I knew he was an oceanographer and a environmental scientist. He worked for Metcalf and Eddy, and I was put on my heels. I was wondering what was going to happen, and Jamie reached out to me. He made sure that I felt comfortable in this town. He made sure that I had everything I needed to do my job correctly. He probably was the first one on the commission that gave me his cell phone number. So I think that Jamie has supported the commission. He's always been pragmatic in his decisions. He looks to the environment, but he also wants to be fair and even with how he hands out his decisions. We're talking about Birch Meadow main spine path here, which is right next to Castine Field. And Jamie Mon shared a story with me, I don't know, back in the day, and he would bring his kids when they were young routinely to Castine Field to look at the frogs, to see the flowers, and to take a little bit of time to talk about the importance of nature and how we should all give back to nature. And I'm sure that his kids, his wife, his family, and everyone he met understood that when they talked to Jamie. He wasn't just a Southern guy with a great way of talking. He was somebody that really cared about this town, the environment, and doing what he can in his spare time for the community. We have on the screen right now is Birch Meadow Field, highlighted in red with the white dots is the main spine path, and then screen left in gray, I see it as gray, is Castine Field. So it's appropriate that this path is so close to Castine Field, which I would say that Jamie Mon spoke about many times when there was talk about development on that field, and pretty much saved it from being changed into anything else than what it is right now. It's a shared space, skating in the winter, field in the summer. We have our pollinator garden starting up over there. I'm not going to take any more time tonight. I know that Matt Mon's on the screen, and he probably wants to say a few things about his dad. So I'm going to turn it over to Matt, and then if there's any questions.
Matt, are you, I know you're there, we just can't see you. Oh, there you go. Yep.
Oh, can you see me now?
You're good, yep.
Great. Thank you, Chuck. I think you covered that well. Matt Mon, formerly of 263 Woburn Street. I regret that I can't be there in person tonight. Actually, I really regret not being able to be there in person tonight. The AC is down, so it's hot here. So I won't take up too much time. For close to 40 years, I think I viewed my dad, and I think others here tonight view my dad as a bedrock of the Reading community, whether it was on the Conservation Commission, the Zoning Board, as a town meeting member, doing a lot of work with the Birch Meadow Master Planning Committee. He dedicated a lot of time, and I remember growing up a lot of nights to helping out the town in various ways. So I just want to thank the board for this opportunity and then for considering the dedication. I think the trail would function not only as a celebration of his service, but as an encouragement for others to follow in his path. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Sure.
Let me just finish up by saying that this was brought to the Conservation Commission and the Recreation Committee, and it was voted unanimously by both committees to support this this path and this dedication to Jamie Mon.
Thank you, Chuck. Oh, sorry. Does anyone from the board have any questions?
Jamie is someone that I knew reasonably well, I guess, too, but just his commitment to this community was incredible. And he made a big difference, and I think this is a great tribute to his legacy.
I agree. Go ahead, sorry, I agree, thank you. Do we have anything?
There's a motion.
I don't have vote on the agenda. Do we need to vote on this?
All we had on the motion was for you to support it, so it doesn't have to be a motion vote.
I have something I can read.
Yeah.
I thought that I would read it first and then we have discussion. So that was
Yeah,
the
but
motion.
like I'm just going by the
Oh, I see
agenda,
what
it
you're
doesn't say, I thought we were gonna be voting on it, but it just says
Okay.
path discussion, and, you know, I guess that's my fault, so I'll take the hit on that one, but, yeah, what do you have, Chris?
the motion was moved to support naming the central spine path at Birch Meadow in honor of Jamie Mon as presented.
Okay.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Thanks, Carla. I didn't know Jamie. I really didn't know anybody in Reading for all that matter, but I do remember him on town meeting and just him announcing Jamie Mon precinct, I think 4 or 5, whichever he was. So it's good to see a longtime dedicated Reading volunteer being recognized. And my daughters go to Birch Meadow, went to Birch Meadow. They did a good job with the path over here, so it's good to see that it'll be named after somebody. So that's it.
Jeremy?
Thank you. So, you know, I agree with everything that's been said about Jamie, and he's a wonderful example of how much better Reading is because of skilled volunteers willing to dedicate their time and energy. When you needed him, he was there. And I love this idea of dedicating the path in front of Castine Field because I remember Jamie taking me and another recreation committee member on a tour of Castine Field and talking about, you know, the river constructs and everything he knew about it. And I had no idea there was a river there. So I went down the new pathway last week and I kind of stood at the end of Castine Field. I understand we're also getting a butterfly garden. So the pathway is a great location, and I know you gave one example of one way that you could, you know, dedicate it to him. I can imagine that if there was some sort of dedication there with Castine Field in the background and all of its glory, he'd be pretty happy. So anyway, I think it's a wonderful, wonderful location. Wonderful. Thank you for somebody that we benefited so much from. Fully in support of this.
Okay. Good. I concur with my colleagues. Thank you. All right, all in favor? One person? 0. Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have a public hearing for Bagel World.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you, Matt.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Who's gonna read the book?
Yes, one second. Yeah, I can read it. To the inhabitants of the town of Reading, please take notice the Select Board of the town of Reading will hold a public hearing on June 18, 2024 at 7 p.m. in the Select Board Meeting Room, 16 Lowell Street, Reading, Massachusetts, and remotely via Zoom to act on a request for early opening 5 a.m. for Bagel World at 323 Main Street. A copy of the proposed documents regarding this topic will be in the Select Board packet on the website at www.readingma.gov. All interested parties are invited to attend the hearing or may submit their comments in writing to town manager at ci.reading.ma.us by order Matthew A. Cornelis Esquire, town manager.
Okay, so we have a representative of Bagel World here tonight to talk about the early opening, so do you wanna tell us what you have planned, or?
Yeah, my name is Edward Kanorazinski. I'm one of the owners in there, family owned, for all these years. And we just came to a point that people are going to work earlier and in getting everything, all of our staffs are ready at 6 o'clock. And people are waiting in our parking lot, a full parking lot at 6 o'clock. So and also our other locations are open up at 5 o'clock ever since we opened many years ago. So and we would like to make it uniform because people do come to our location and they're looking, don't open until 6 o'clock. It's a little inconvenience because they call and place orders for early morning and we have to turn them down and send them to our other locations in Peabody, and so basically loss of sales and loss of revenue for the town as well.
And I understand this won't apply to the drive-through, is that,
I'm sorry?
it won't apply to the drive-through? According to your letter?
Right now, we could do it in a case-by-case basis, because people, we're not getting any deliveries, early in the morning, until 7, 8 o'clock, so, people do, the employees come in early in the morning, and most of them, they just get, coffee and bagel and on their way out, and they go, so. If there's any questions, like you said.
Public hearing, so.
Yeah. I'm good for now.
Thanks, Colin. And thanks for coming. So my biggest concern would have been the deliveries, but if that's still gonna be happening at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning and not 5.
No, that's just the customers coming in. And so it will be relieving the cars in the parking lot from just idling, overall, all the cars there and waiting throughout the whole year and everything.
And the drive-through situation, which we're all aware of, that now we have a special lane on Main Street for sometimes, depending on the day, the traffic going into there. Is anything else being done on that? I know it's been greatly improved compared to how it was years ago.
Right, we are gonna be redoing the hot top pretty soon, right after the 4th of July week. That's all gonna be stripped down and re-hot topped, and we're gonna have granite curbings all around, so, and it will really improve that whole area.
Yeah, because I see the one lady that's always out there just directing people.
Yeah, she was supposed to, she wanted to come, but she had a graduation, her daughter that was graduating at the same time, so, and
She's been doing a good job out there. I will say that there still is traffic, but I mean,
we keep it down to the minimum, and that in center lane, people say it's really grateful that, and also people that come, coming from Stoneham, we just have to tell them to go to the median strip, and because people have been waiting before them, and they think just sneak right in, and we come, first come, first served basis when the traffic builds up to the street.
was there ever talk about a double drive-through thing there, or is it just gonna be the double lines in the beginning?
Right now, the double lines, and we have only one window there, and they are quite quick on things. And it's just mostly on the weekends that the double lanes are mostly used. During the week, it's like mostly just a single lane.
Alrighty, thank you.
One question, so if the store is gonna be open as proposed at 5, will you have some way to tell people that the drive-through is not open?
We have a sign that open and closed and illuminated, open and closed sign, and closed in red and open in green. But also some people do wait in line in the drive-through even until 6 o'clock. So and that's why I was saying we could do it case by case. But people just come by and pick up their stuff and on the way they go.
So I think the question is, if it's open that early, if the drive-through is open, now we have a volume question potentially. In other words, the back and forth discussion. So I thought this proposal was not to have the drive-through at this point.
We we could do it at a later time too, more case by case, and see how it is, because our volume is also adjustable, like in our other stores.
Right, and so I guess I read this note as it would start without the drive-through at 5 AM. And my suggestion would be that's what we we
Okay.
stick with for now.
Yeah,
See-
right.
See how it goes
See
afterward.
how it
we got a
goes.
discussion.
I can go for that as well. It's just like in the people in front and all parked in front and waiting and just and almost like time consumption and idling the cars and just and waiting until we open up the 6.
Yeah, it might make sense to even have a sign out front that reminds people that drive-through doesn't open till 6.
Right. No, we will be putting a sign overall, and please come on inside till then.
And have you been in touch with the neighbors? They all?
I haven't heard anything from them, and you know, we've been always respectable to everybody. And, I know there's neighbors on the other side, residential neighbors. So we always respect their sound, like any deliveries or so. We try to keep it around 8 o'clock further out.
Right, and town regulations are 7, is that right?
7 o'clock, I think, is the earliest.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
those are town
and it's like by the time they do come by, it's close to like 8, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, so during business hours.
Good, thank you, appreciate it.
Thanks. One clarifying thing. So is there a reason why we're not doing, I know it might be in the packet. I don't see why we would prevent you from using the drive-through at 5 if there's already people waiting outside in cars to begin with. I guess the reason I would not be okay with it is if any of the neighbors were opposed to it. And have we ever received anything ever from Bagel World, other than the traffic out front? Have the neighbors complained about noise or anything? Like,
I think
this has been going on for like a decade.
Yeah, right, and so I think when I spoke to the police department about it, they were only concerned, they weren't concerned about the traffic any longer, but they were concerned about the sort of amplified sound and the sound coming from the drive-through, because they had gotten complaints in the past about that. But I haven't heard from any neighbors specifically, and I don't know if there's anybody in the audience or on Zoom that wants to speak on that, but that was really the only concern, so.
I guess for me, we can start it with the drive-through at 6 o'clock scenario, and then if they, after a couple months, everything's working out, then you can just come back, I guess, to see if you can, because I didn't think of the speaker thing in the drive-through is, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be woken up by that. I've seen countless emails regarding the trash pickup, not at Bagel World, at other places, like.
Right, no, I was always on top of it too, and it's like, they were coming later and later, but now they got to a certain schedule, and so it's always a pickup on Tuesdays, and during business hours, like on 10, 11 o'clock, so.
All right, yeah, we can take it as is, my opinion, take it how Mark just had mentioned, as is, how it is in here, and then we'll see how things go.
Okay.
Thanks.
Any other comments in the room or in the room or on Zoom, Caitlin?
No one on Zoom, nope.
Seeing none, motion to close the public hearing.
Karen had something.
Oh, you had your hand up?
No, I was just thinking, usually we do close the public hearing and then select board members talk, so.
Okay, we're gonna have a motion, we're gonna close the public hearing, and we're gonna have a motion and then discussion.
Move to close the hearing regarding the early opening request for Bagel World.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? All right, motion for the opening 5 AM?
Yep. It's a long one. Move to approve the license to operate a retail business between the hours of midnight and 6 AM pursuant to section 7.7 of the Reading General Bylaws, and further pursuant to section 3.8 of the Select Board Policies to Bagel World, 323 Main Street. This license is for approval to open business no earlier than 5 AM. In granting this license, the board finds, 1, in accordance with section 7.7.4.1 of the general bylaws, that the operation of the establishment will not cause unreasonable disruption or disturbance to or otherwise adversely affect the customary character or of any adjacent or nearby residential neighborhoods. And 2, in accordance with section 7.7.4.2 of the general bylaws, that the operation of the establishment is reasonably necessary to serve the public health, safety, and welfare, serves a public need, and provides a public convenience which outweighs any increase in the impacts of the adjacent or nearby residential.
Second.
Second.
All right, any discussion?
Yes, so Matt, did we mail specifically the neighbors and let them know that this hearing was happening within a certain radius?
We did whatever we legally need to do to let them know about the public hearing. It was published in the newspaper. Caitlin's on, she can speak to the portion of it.
We did not do a butters notices, they're not required for this, but it was published in the newspaper.
Okay,
As a public hearing.
So no offense, but not everyone gets the Chronicle anymore, sorry. So I am concerned, that we're gonna get some neighbors that feel like they didn't know this was coming if we go ahead and move on this tonight. The other question I had for you is, do we have any businesses, any restaurants, coffee shops, anything, any businesses opening this early in Reading?
Yeah.
I think there are other, go ahead Caitlin, I think Tread, but go ahead.
Yeah, there are a few other businesses, there's, the Starbucks, one of the Dunkin' Donuts, they open at 5. One of the Dunkin' Donuts on, Walkersburg is 24 hours.
Okay, I wasn't aware that we had any restaurants that opened this early, so I'm not sure when that started happening. So, and the reason for my question is because one thing we do for you, we're gonna have, you know, other restaurants and every other coffee shop coming in if they have staff and they wanna do it, so I wanted to make sure that the board is aware of that. And we have had noise complaints about Tread, but this is more of a commercial location and I don't think you usually play loud music in the parking lot, so
No,
it should be a little
no,
different.
and we always like to be respect for everybody else, especially our neighbors.
Well, I have not seen the traffic issues that we were having since you made your changes to your building, and I do appreciate that. I don't
And also,
ever wanna see
the
anyone-
online order has helped out very well as well. And that we put it into effect, when the pandemic came. It's helping out very well.
Set? All right, all those in favor? 5-0, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we have another hearing on a traffic amendment. Hold on, sorry.
To the inhabitants of the town of Reading, please take notice that the select board of the town of Reading will hold a public hearing on June 18, 2024 at 7 p.m. in the select board meeting room, 16 Lowell Street, Reading, Massachusetts, and remotely via Zoom to approve amendment 2024-4 to the traffic and parking regulations, official placement of an isolated stop sign on Wentworth Road at the intersection with Lewis Street. A copy of the proposed documents regarding this topic will be in the select board packet on the website at www.readingma.gov. All interested parties are invited to attend the hearing or may submit their comments in writing to townmanager@ci.reading.ma.us by order of Matthew A. Cornelis, Esquire, Town Manager.
Hi, good evening. So this is another request that came in through both complaints to the police department and through SeeClickFix. Basically, Wentworth is kind of a entryway into the neighborhood west of West Street. Lewis Street meets Wentworth in the middle of Lewis Street. So as you come to the end of Wentworth, it's a T stop at that intersection. There's no stop sign there currently, but legally you would have to stop because you're at the end of the road. It's the middle of Lewis Street. So the request came in and we'd agreed to put this amendment before you. It would put a stop sign at the end of Wentworth where vehicles would have to stop regardless. This is just more of a visual for drivers to know to stop. Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, pretty straightforward. Thank you. comments? Yeah, Chris?
Thanks, Carl. Just briefly, I guess, to save us all the time from Google mapping everything, if we could just get a picture in the future of the proposed, whatever it ends up being, stop signs, you know what I mean? Like we did the Haven Street, the double that was over there, just a picture of what we can look at, and then people online and in the room could see it. But other than that, I mean, this makes sense to me. So thanks.
Is there already a stop sign at West Street? I would kind of assume Wentworth and West Street's probably already stop signs there.
I'm not sure. Again, you're supposed to stop, but not every single street in town has a stop sign. It's mainly when requests like this come in, we take a look at. So we had the trailer out there. There is a little speed concern on Lewis. Well, not even really concerned. We had over 7,000 vehicles checked on that street, and only 17 were speeding anywhere between 1 and 9 miles over speed limit. So it's not that much of a concern, but it is happening on Lewis. And if that's an area that's meeting with Wentworth, then we would want to put the stop sign there. So if you think of any neighborhood in town, not every single street is going to have a stop sign on it. But when requests like this come in, we look at
Evaluate
to see this.
So this request came in through C-Click-Fix or just concerns?
I believe my guess is some of the people in the neighborhood were talking because I got a whole bunch all at once. So I got C-Click-Fix emails. So
Great.
yeah, it's working.
As long as you're getting it. Okay, thank you.
All right, any other comments? Caitlin, anyone on Zoom?
No one raising their hand, nope.
All right, motion to close the hearing.
Move to close the hearing regarding safety amendment 2024-4.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Okay, motion please.
Move to approve amendment 2024-04 to the traffic and parking regulations as presented.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? 0, thank you, thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, next, sure. Next, we have a vote to declare surplus items, fire department ladder truck.
And we have Assistant Chief Nelson here to answer any questions, but it's essentially a ladder truck that we don't need anymore, and we want to surplus it from the town rolls. And we can answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
Did the new truck come in? The new
No.
ladder truck?
No, we just contacted Seagrave, the manufacturer, to get some updates. And the truck was originally scheduled to be delivered at the end of May. There's been a series of delays. They told us July. Now it's going to be September with a question mark. So we are looking to surplus this so that when the time comes, we can get rid of it. Storage is tough in town.
So you're getting ahead of it.
Yeah. So we're not getting rid of it yet.
Oh, okay, so it's proactively asking for permission to surplus it when
Correct.
you're ready.
Because once the new truck comes, there's not a lot of places to
Because
store
I
it.
didn't think we had extra ladder trucks lying around.
No, and actually, we have a potential purchase of the truck, Malden Fire. And one of the nice things about that is they've agreed to allow us to borrow it should our new ladder have some long-term issue, which hopefully not, but which is a real benefit.
So we would purchase a third ladder truck? Were you talking about, did you say borrow?
No, I'm sorry. So the surplus ladder, the ladder we have now, if you surplus it, we have Walden is looking to purchase that.
Oh,
They would
thank
take
you.
ownership of it, but then they would allow us to borrow it, which is, it's really hard to borrow ladder trucks.
Thank you.
If there's a further delay, Right, if there's a further delay.
Well, no, we wouldn't, this would not occur until the new truck is in service and ready to go.
Right.
But sometimes big trucks have big problems, and if,
Right.
it would give us a way to
Exactly.
get a truck in town.
Backfill it in, right.
Yes, thank you.
Exactly, because there might be some kinks that need to be worked out, right?
Yes.
Hopefully not, right?
Hopefully not.
Okay. Any other one? Did we already do a motion? I keep track of this, no, we didn't do a motion.
No.
Alright, can I have a motion, please?
Move to declare fire apparatus ladder truck 1 as surplus property.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? 5-0, thank you, thank you.
Thanks.
Alright, next on our agenda is discuss building permit fee schedule. In our packet was an update of our permit fees. And hopefully we all got a chance to look at it. And you know, I forget how long it's been, but it's been a long time since we went up on our fees. And just like everything else is going up in life, I guess, you know, our fees need to follow that model. So can we have a motion, please?
There's nothing.
There's no motion.
You're not required to vote on this, it's administrative function, but
Okay.
they just wanna give you an update. So we have Andrew
Oh,
and
yeah,
Fred
just-
here from the building department.
Yeah, my bad.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Hello, good evening. Thank you for taking the time. So basically, the fees are increasing a little bit, but it's more of an admin kind of change. The electrical fees is the biggest problem. There's just figures all over the place, adding up outlets, so we've kind of combined it to, you know, new house additions, bathrooms, separating fees from that. The fees have not been adjusted since 2006 in the town of Reading. I know it was on Jean's list, it was on Julie's list. The commissioner before me put some time into push it forward, so I think now we're kind of all combined efforts and we're here, so I don't think it's a dramatic increase. We have all the comparisons from surrounding towns, neighboring towns, and we're right in line with everybody, so. That's basically it. With the software, it'll just make it a lot easier for our admin staff to input these fees. Like I said, now new houses could have, you know, 200 devices, and we're trying to go through plans to add all of them up, and it's just not needed, I don't think. So I'm happy to take any questions, if there is any.
Commissioner, when you say devices, does that mean outlets?
Correct.
Okay.
So that's the way it's done now, is outlets, lights, switches, stuff like that is all like a device, so. We're kind of going off the contractor's word of, you know, what they're putting in, and the fee is adjusted off of that.
Any other questions from Chris?
Thanks, Carla. So what is the offset? So currently it's for the electrical, the first 1 to 10 outlets are $17 and each additional outlet was $1, which seems crazy.
Correct, yeah.
So what is it going to now? So it's all encompassing into one flat rate or?
Correct, so now we break it down to like a new house, we're not counting devices, it's just a set fee of $275. In addition is a set fee of $200. All other rooms is $75. So now it's kind of all encompassed into one fee, basically. Kind of averaging out what you have in a bathroom, what you have in a kitchen, what an addition, you know, requires. So we kind of added all that in, got an average of the price, and just put a lock price on that. Obviously, all the miscellaneous stuff we still have fees for. There will be a minimum fee of $50 for miscellaneous stuff, but with a lot of solar panels, electric charges, I mean, we didn't even really have fees for that in the past. A lot of battery storage. So those are the kind of the bigger updates, but now it's kind of all just encompassed in one.
So like you said, it's mainly administrative where now you're just doing 2 instead of 367 different items or something.
Counting them $1 a piece and whatnot. So we're not adding the devices into this as well. The one fee would be, you know, included. You know, a whole house, you're getting all your appliances, switches, lights, everything is encompassed in that one fee.
So it's better for everyone.
I believe so, yeah. I mean, it makes it, the system is having a really hard time with the way we have it structured now, so we're all putting it in, the admin staff's putting it in manually right now. The contractors are kind of up in the air of what they expect to pay. So now they'll at least know, hey, this is my set fee, we know what it is, they're not counting, you know, outlets on plans and submitting it to us, and we're, you know, double checking all that and whatnot.
Getting rid of the à la carte.
Exactly, yep. It's all just, you know, encompassed into one fee for whatever project you're doing, basically.
And how many contractors or residents, whoever ends up doing this, do you see a day? Are we talking 50, 100, 10? How many are coming into town hall for this?
Permits, Whereas anywhere between, I mean, buildings could be anywhere between 10 and 20 a week. Electrical's probably about 30 a week, permits coming in. The solars are big, the mini splits are very big now, so those are coming in with all the rebates from RMLD, those come in all the time.
Thanks.
Questions?
I have just one question.
Yeah.
Is it normal to have a fee for a denial letter on a building permit?
Yeah, so you're not paying the fee, so so you're submitting a permit and right now there is no fee. I mean, in my mind, I would assume, so if you're doing an addition that doesn't meet the setbacks, in most other communities, you're paying that full fee for the building permit. And then if it gets denied, you kind of, you're at a loss now. So, I mean, I think that's a reasonable fee for the admin staff, all the paperwork, the mailings, all that stuff that goes into that denial letter. Because I mean, we may never, if that gets, I mean, if we do all the admin work and it gets denied, they don't move forward, then we're not getting any, revenue for the admin work that was, so that denial is bringing them to the ZBA, basically.
Got it.
So if they get denied there, then they're not, they're not coming back to us with the permit fee for the actual addition.
Where other towns you're saying pay the fee before they even find out whether they get the permit or not.
Correct, so you have to submit a building permit to get denied, so some of the surrounding towns are just, you're submitting the fee for the building permit and then hoping that, it gets through, basically, yep.
Right, any other questions? I'm good, thank you very much.
All right, thank you, good night.
Thanks. Thank you. All right, now we have discuss and vote on Bill Russell Committee. And I know we have a presentation in our packet. Is someone speaking? I'm making a presentation, sorry.
We are, we're a little early, sir. It was supposed to be at 8:40.
If you're not, well, after you is Vast. Oh no, charter review. Do you want us to do charter review?
That's unusual.
Are you ready? We can go out of order and do
We're
charter
ready.
review.
There might have been more people that were coming.
We can do charter review first. You wanna wait a little bit?
Nah, we ready.
Okay.
We are so ready.
Okay. How you guys doing today? I've already introduced myself. Hope you're all aware of me. I'm Fillmore Phillip II, Reading MECO graduate of the high school here and other things. I'm a graduate from the Reading MECO program and president and co-founder of CATO, the Coalition of Us, a group working towards racial justice in Reading and beyond. Thank you for the second opportunity to discuss the formation of an ad hoc committee to help bring to fruition the Select Board's resolution of establishing an annual day in commemoration of past resident Bill Russell's impact on our community, as well as his legacy on the court in the realm of civil rights. You posed some questions last meeting, and tonight we plan to answer them and any other questions you might have. Our hope is that you will vote to establish this committee so that this resolution can become a reality. This would be an auspicious time to vote yes, right before the anniversary of Juneteenth.
I'm Linda Snow Doxer. I'm a member of PAIR, Partners and Allies for Inclusive Reading, CATO, and a Precinct 1 town meeting member. Many thanks to each of you and welcome to the board, to the table. Many thanks to each of you for taking the time to meet with us over the past year and a half. We have incorporated your feedback into our presentation, as well as the feedback from town council, superintendent, and members of the school committee. We truly believe that the time is now to ratify this committee so that the real work can begin.
I'm Tyra Gregory. I'm a member of CATO, PAIR, Partners and Allies for Inclusive Reading, and precinct member for town meeting member for Precinct 2. I'm committed to equity and accessibility for all residents of Reading, and we look forward to a time in Reading when all residents can learn from our past and celebrate our future together as a community honoring Bill Russell.
To use your time well, we ask that you hold your questions until the end, and we hope to address many of the questions you've already asked and some you might think of in this brief introduction.
Can we bring our slides up?
Yeah, Caitlin.
Thank you, Caitlin.
You could bring us to the second page. Sweet. Thank you. The resolution in its entirety is in your packet. This slide is the section of your resolution that describes your words committing to the commemoration of Bill Russell's legacy. The question arose about the name of the annual event. It's important to mention that the ultimate goal of the resolution is that Reading commemorates Bill Russell. Whether or not the ad hoc committee includes his name will not impact whether or not we have the annual event that happens as part of his legacy. For this reason, we have changed the name of the committee to the Ad Hoc Commemoration Committee.
Similarly, the question arose about who should plan and execute this resolution. This responsibility rests with the town in order to send the message that Reading truly supports Bill Russell's vision of an inclusive and welcoming community. Cato, however, is glad to support the town's effort each step of the way.
Next slide, please.
Next slide, please.
Thank you, Caitlin. Former town manager Fidel Maltez and former select board chair Jackie McCarthy recommended creating this ad hoc committee. Ad hoc committees have historically been used by the select board to delegate the research and preparation for town projects so that the select board does not have to do all the necessary work. In addition to taking this burden off of the select board, this ad hoc committee will empower dedicated volunteers with diverse voices to figure out the logistics, funding, and organization of, as well as a debriefing after the first annual commemoration.
This will actually be the second commemoration, as the first happened on May 16th, 1963, over 60 years ago, and then has not happened again, even though it was reapproved by the select board on August 9th, 2022, 20 months ago. We recognize and we support how busy our select board duties keep you and our town manager. So this ad hoc committee offers a way for you to follow through for your resolution.
Next slide, please. There were questions raised about acknowledging Bill Russell and his family's experience in Reading. How the Russell family was treated here is well documented and included in the Netflix documentary, as well as interviews with his children. Their experience in Reading included a petition to prevent him from buying a home, as well as graffiti and violent damage done to their home. The legacy of this experience continues to have an impact on many in our community. This is why one part of the plan is to explore ways in which the town can educate and begin to acknowledge and express accountability for the mistreatment of Bill Russell and his family. This will help the town learn from our past and move forward as a community. In the words of the resolution, to honor his civil rights legacy and impact on race relations by actively supporting the vision of an inclusive and welcoming community. A public acknowledgement will allow us to move forward as a community because, as James Baldwin aptly said, not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced.
Reading was not only the place where Bill Russell faced racism and injustice, but Reading was his home, just like years later. Reading was my home, away from home. When I was taken from the Reading train station along with 3 black fellow RMHS football players. The police interrogated us right about there about the abduction of 2 white women from another state. There was no truth except for the color of our skin. Just like when Reading's Charles Stewart claimed his wife was killed by a black man and the Boston black community was tormented looking for perpetrators who did not exist and resulted in innocent men being imprisoned. Students still report being watched more closely in stores, worrying about being pulled over while driving, and the UUCR Black Lives Matter Black Lives banners being stolen 4 times. We realize that the efforts are being made to address these concerns. Following through on this resolution will be a very powerful one.
This is a chance for the town of Reading to ensure that once a year, every year, our town can inspire our community members to learn from Bill Russell's values as he lived them, the resolution's words, and move towards the resolution's big picture goal of actively supporting the vision of an inclusive and welcoming community. Since we last presented, we have updated the charge to be specific that this committee will access and help organize the data, experiences, and information from other sources, as well as collecting any other necessary information. There is already source material accessible, such as the DEI surveys and needs assessments. We're really grateful for the grants that were gotten for those, the public health survey and others. The committee's approach would minimize the need to redundantly create resources already in existence, thus saving time and resources and enabling well-informed collaborative recommendations.
The committee bears the responsibility of planning and executing the inaugural community-wide event. Following the conclusion of the event, a comprehensive debriefing process will be undertaken by the committee, incorporating insights gleaned from the inaugural occasion into their overarching long-term plan. Subsequently, this ad hoc committee will present its findings to the select board and collaborate with the town manager to ensure a seamless transition of all pertinent information and responsibilities to the appropriate town departments and administrators. This handover is vital to ensuring the sustained operations of the program beyond the sunset of the committee.
To ensure the input and awareness of different town departments, this is the next.
Yep.
Thank you. Who will be on the committee? So we're really trying hard not to reiterate what we did last time. You have it in your packet. To ensure the input and awareness of different town departments and to elicit the insights from diverse residents, this committee will have 7 to 9 members with 3 associate members, all of whom are residents of Reading. That was a concern that was brought up at one point as well. All the meetings will be according to open meeting law and will encourage the public to attend. It was pointed out to us that the Historical Commission was missing from our original document. We're really sorry. So they would have unique insights into the history of Reading, so we added that to them to the charge as well.
Also, to ensure that town departments are informed and engaged, administrative heads will be invited to each meeting and kept informed of any questions and consulted on any plans. This list is in the charge. This list is in the charge in the packet itself.
Next slide, please.
Excuse me. Okay. From the last discussion with the select board, it became apparent that we need to clarify the relationship with the Russell family. After speaking to legal counsel and considering the practicalities of this committee's mission, we have clarified our expectations.
As reiterated previously, the committee will reach out to the Russell family, providing comprehensive information about the committee's objectives and extending invitations to participate in future programming. It is with this respect in mind that the committee will try to attain consent from the Russell family before incorporating Bill Russell's name into the title of any programming. His name will never be used without permission of the family in its publicizing of a fundraising event. In addition, no trademark NBA or Bill Russell logos will be used for fundraising without express permission.
We believe that the Russell family would be more likely to respond from an inquiry from the town committee than from a local nonprofit advocating for that committee. In fact, we were advised, Cato was advised when we talked to someone within the Celtics organization, that the family should not be contacted until a more formal plan was in place. They're very busy, inundated.
Next slide, please. This past April, the select board was presented with the results of the DEI needs assessment, which identified an increased sense of vulnerability in regards to town and school leadership ability to tackle and prevent religious, racial, and ableist violence, and there is a lack of diversity in town leadership, boards, and committees that continues to enforce the lack of representative government. Establishing an ad hoc committee will not only honor Bill Russell and his legacy, but the committee would enable the town to enact some of the recommendations from the DEI needs assessment, including initiating feedback loops in town services to enhance communication with the community, instituting mechanisms to increase social, economic, and racial diversity in town events, boards, committees, and staff, and enhancing the role of community-based organizations in town. The committee will be comprised of residents and town staff from various departments to ensure a collaborative effort in exploring potential options for honoring Bill Russell and making recommendations to the select board that they can act on. The goal is to bring multiple town departments together and work collaboratively with residents to honor Bill Russell in a way that works for our community.
And I just want to clarify, informing and engaging the department heads in decisions does not mean that they have to be at every meeting. It means there's a commitment to making sure they know what's going on and that they enter into this decision. An example would be if the space desired for a program might be in the schools, the superintendent would be consulted before a decision was made that it would be held in the schools. We don't want anybody blindsided, and that would be the job of the committee, to make sure that people are aware of the decisions that are being made. We recommend residents and select board members take time to watch the Bill Russell Netflix documentary and attend Cato Conversations. Many already have. We are grateful to all who have attended both the Cato Conversations and the Black Lives Matter event at the UUCR. Attendance at these events has helped to contribute to our understanding of the feelings of some Reading residents who feel marginalized, whether by intent or by impact of what is happening in our town. The perspectives shared have heightened our commitment to the commemorative initiatives aligned with Bill Russell's legacy. Thank you so much for making this resolution. We look forward to bringing it to a reality. Thank you for your time, and we welcome any questions that you might have. I know that was a lot, although it was less than if we tried to fit everything.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
I didn't write one specifically because the charge is still in flow, and you could first of all, you can discuss it first and come up with what it might be, or you can have a simple motion to approve or create the ad hoc committee as presented.
So there is, just so you know, in the packet, there is the charge that we wrote according to the model given to us by Fidel Maltese, and based on the SWEC charge, we followed that for what information should be contained in the charge.
A motion to approve ad hoc commemorative establishment committees.
I think, well, I have some question on the membership, but I'll just make the motion first and we can change it after the fact. So, motion to approve the ad hoc commemoration establishment committee, ACE, as an ad hoc committee under the jurisdiction of the Reading Select Board as presented.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion, any questions, but obviously any discussion, any questions?
Mark, just a quick question. You mentioned the historic committee. Is that, how are they?
Yeah, I don't see them on there either, thank you.
So, they would be under the membership, so we can add them if they're not there now.
It's not there.
We have it under, it's on the
thank you.
second page, so under membership, we have for the professional guidance from the list of people, the chair or member of historical commission is the last one on the list.
Ask a question I'm gonna ask.
So this sheet, if you guys all have the documents on the backside of it.
Yeah, yeah, so maybe this is the question, we'll see. Are you thinking, just in terms of how you're thinking the input, there are 9 members on the, under membership. 10, thank you, 10. So at least 7, so 10 would be okay. Would you wanna have one of those options be the chair or member of the historical commission?
That's it's very possible, and when we discuss this, I'm sorry, I jumped right in. When we discuss this, we also realize that one person might fill multiple seats. So there might be someone that's on Cato that also is a member of PAIR. Or, so that would compress the numbers to allow more. And it would be fine as long as the member of the Historical Society, which shouldn't be an issue, is a resident of Reading.
Commission members.
Commission, sorry, I keep
Yeah,
saying
no,
this.
society members would not have to be residents, so that's why commission is.
Okay, and that is what we wrote, but I just misspoke. So that could be moved to under the.
Okay, yeah, I had the same question because you mentioned historic, and I'll preface by saying I had a nice meeting with Philip in Colm, who I don't think is here,
No, he couldn't attend.
a couple of weeks ago, right, very recently. And it was a nice meeting and.
Great meeting.
And I kind of gave, thank you, I kind of gave him my take on this, and seeing all these people that you want to be a part of it, not just the members of the committee, but all the other people that you want engaged and input from is admirable, but that goes back to my concern of putting a heavy lift on town resources and people who are on committees. If they want to volunteer, they want to volunteer. That has nothing to do with what I'm saying. But you're asking for a lot. It seems more than I imagined. So that I just, my concerns for, adding so many people to this and involving so many people, because I know you want the input, but to me, it's just a really heavy lift for a lot of people. And if they choose that, that's up to them. But from where I'm sitting, this is asking a lot. And then my comments with Philip were, I'm in full support of Bill Russell. I know who he is. I know he's an icon. I know his legacy. But all through this documentation is DEI work. And we have a DEI director. So just like Juneteenth, I don't see why the DEI director and PAIR and Cato can take this on. This is my opinion, right? I share this with Philip. I'm not saying anything different. Why that can't be taken on as opposed to forming a committee. So that's what I shared, and we had a back and forth, and it was nice, and it was helpful for me, and Philip and Colin brought up some good points, but for me, I'm trying to look down the road for other commemorative committees, and I shared that as well. So if we open this door, then someone could come to us for John Doe Day committee. So that's the way I'm looking at it, and I'll let everyone else speak. I mean, you want?
I don't know how the select board or the governmental process work, who's allowed to speak and who isn't. Am I allowed to speak now?
Yes, a back and forth, yeah.
Okay.
Because it's questions and discussion.
You mentioned the word commendable.
No, commemorative.
Commemorative. What makes an individual commemorative? I'm asking you, what makes an individual commemorative? I've seen a dozen decisions made in the room already of commemorative people, and you've had no problem making that decision. But now when we come to someone bigger than that, bigger than us, we're having commemorative issues. And I'm starting to realize that this man, or this legend, was commemorative. What he did on and off the court was commemorative. And we're lacking that understanding of how to do that. We're looking at this from multitudes of sides, but essentially, you mentioned the word commemorative, but you have to understand the word commemorative in order to use it. And I don't think you used it right when it comes to such a legend such as this individual. And I think that is an issue within itself, and that's something that the town could work on together to fix these broken issues that have plagued this town. And when it comes to those words that we choose to use, we should be careful how we use them, because this person was everything beyond just commemorative. He was a legend.
I'm referring to the name of the committee. I'm not referring to the man. I'm referring to what the committee is called and paralleling that with other individuals who've donated money, have buildings named after them. I know where you're coming from. There's no disrespect to Bill Russell. I'm looking at it, I'm one of five, as an ad hoc committee. Our proclamation, like I said last time, I think a few of us said it, maybe not. It doesn't say form a committee in the proclamation. It says honoring, commemorating, doesn't say form a committee. So again, I'll stop speaking and let anyone else have questions.
Can I address your concern as well?
Sure.
So right here on who will be on the committee and on the charge, it talks about or designate.
Right.
I'd like to just look at who's in this group in the chairs right now. So there are plenty of people that would stand up to be on this committee, and can I ask them to raise their hand if they would be willing to be designated by a department in our town
No.
to be on the committee?
Some people already spoke to that, and we're not gonna go down that road. People already raised their hands. People already raised their hands.
I'm sorry, I was dealing with the printer.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you. So people are willing to be designated by the different departments. They feel it's important to do. And so this would not necessarily be a school committee member that's coming to these meetings. It would be that designate whose obligation would be to keep the superintendent informed about what this committee is doing. If this committee were considering an event in the auditorium, the Performing Arts Center, then that designate would be responsible for going to the superintendent and saying, this is the plan, what is your thought on this? So it would not be the superintendent that necessarily has to attend this meeting. It would be the designate who has stood up and interviewed by VASC and been appointed to this committee to make this event happen that the select board has taken 20 months not to make happen yet. So the resolution was really important, and that's to Fillmore's point. It hasn't happened yet, and true confessions, I'm Mark Doxer's wife. I see how busy he is. I know that he could not, no offense, dear, but he could not plan this event. I also get the town manager minute, and I understand how busy our town manager and now our new assistant town manager are getting up to speed. And it would be very hard for them, to your point, Mr. Chair, for them to attend all these meetings, but also to plan these events. So what this ad hoc committee is doing is giving you a way, just like your other ad hoc committees. SWEC, the Celebration Committee, I have a list of them here, I looked them up on the website. CPA, Public Services, the Human Rights Ad Hoc I was on in order to pick the Office of Equity and Social Justice, that was an ad hoc committee. Reading Trails Committee, the Charter Review Committee, Community Preservation Act Study Committee, Library Landscape Committee, all of these committees have sunsets. It's for a purpose. It's to do the research, to do the preparation, to figure out who it should get handed off to, because per your resolution, it's going to be an annual event. So rather than the select board itself or the town manager by himself doing all the work, all the research and the preparation, this offers you a committee of motivated people to get that research and the work done. And the other concern that you mentioned, Tacoma and Fillmore, pardon me, one more thing, is that you were worried that it would take staff time, for instance, attending the meetings to do minutes, to do postings, that kind of thing. I was chair of the Human Relations Advisory Committee for years, and I did the minutes. I submitted the minutes. Our wonderful clerk, Laura Gem, she filed them. I did the paperwork for the postings, she posted them. But we never, ever had anyone from the main office come to do our minutes. We voted on them just like any other open committee, and we submitted them when they were voted on to Laura Gem, who filed them. So we did use some of Laura Gem's time, but never for taking minutes. Thank you, Caitlin, for everything you do. You are very appreciated. This ad hoc committee is not aiming to take more staff time, but rather to engage, enable them to be engaged in something important that the select board made a resolution to accomplish.
Questions? Thanks, Carla. And thank you to all three of you. I mean this as no disrespect, which usually follows something else coming in after that. But August 9th, 2022, when we signed the resolution that was here, Mark Doxer was chair. And I understand, like you had mentioned, that Mark's been very busy, and we all are, I understand that. So I don't, not that I want to say that I don't appreciate the mentioning of it being 20 months. It could have been done back then. It was not. It could have been done under Jackie. As we all know, the scenario transpired there. Unfortunately, that didn't happen either. Things happen. That doesn't mean that we're just brushing it off like there's no big deal. But I just want that to be referenced, that it's noted what happened back then compared to what is now. Carlo put this on the agenda after 20 months. So
And after pushing it out of February. Just saying.
I would, to that I would say, I would quit while I was ahead before I would start mentioning negativity towards what he would have done. But that's just my opinion. So a couple of questions that I had.
I don't get what that means. Sorry, I'm just asking.
Because I made the point that it was delayed for 20 months for a reason, and then Carlo put on the agenda, but it's not good enough that it was put on now. It should have been put on back in February, is what Linda meant, which isn't the way to be handling this, in my opinion. So my questions were, so I see that a ninth through 12th grade are going to be possibly on the committee. Can we legally have a ninth grader voting, or how does this work? Like, do we have
You're
like?
a resident of town.
So there's no, because I know we have school council, I guess, so it's kind of that same scenario. Like, I'm just confused, I just wanted clarification.
I think we're all confused, sir. Carry on.
It's important to have student representation.
No, I understand that, but they're a voting member on a committee in town, but they can't actually vote in town.
In a national election, maybe, I don't,
Local election, that's the point.
okay, I guess I defer to legal on that, but to invite them as a resident of Reading and not give them a vote on this committee would be sort of insulting. Do we want to hear their voices or not?
I guess with all the laughter that I'm hearing because of the question that I asked, it's just, you're all assuming that I'm going against this, which, you know, you can feel that way, but I'm not. But I'm getting pushback over here from other people in the audience because of the questions that I'm asking. That is not the right way to be handling this scenario.
They're looking for clarification
I gave
because
them-
what you just stated, sir, excuse me, was you stated something about the age parameters of kids being able to make a decision or whatever else the case may be between the grades of 9 to 12. Correct? Is that what you said?
Because they can't vote in a local election, but they'll be voting members on this committee. That is the
Okay,
point that I
but-
was making.
Okay. But kids are allowed to make other decisions. Their inputs matters when it comes to certain things and certain stipulations, regardless of the voting process. Do we not listen to our children? Do we not listen to their cries, their whatever the word may be, but do we not take into account what they feel and how they go about it? One of the things that started Cato, sir, was the cries of the students, particularly people of color and other students inside the school system, and what they were seeing and what they were experiencing. And that's why, after all these years, we've came this far progressively as a community. So I don't fully understand, and the crowd's response to your question is a lack of you asking the question properly. It's not like I can't even understand what you're saying, sir, and I'm asking for proper clarification, respectfully. I'm not saying that you disagree with what is occurring. I'm not fully understandable of the legal jargon, the legal verbiage that you're using pertaining to this particular instance. That's all I have to say.
So can I just, to your point, Mr. Haley, if it would help to check the charter and check with our legal as to whether students under the legal voting age can cast a vote on a committee like that, then that can be done. It wouldn't impact whether you ratify this charge or not, because it's one member and the VASC can make a decision. However, it would be very sad, and I think that's our
You could also
statement.
make that person an associate member so that they don't have voting membership either.
Yeah.
Like I was mentioning, I had the problem with the 9th grade scenario. The fix in this scenario is to have it be a 12th grader that's going to end up being 18, more likely than not. That's all. I'm not trying to nitpick and I just want to make sure, because Mark and Carla both brought up the historical. That I was going to bring up as well, but they both already brought it up and it wasn't in there. My concern was the 9th through 12th grade, and it seems as if 12th grade would satisfy a majority of whether or not it's legal or not. That's all. I don't want it to put someone on a committee that can vote, that can't actually vote and shouldn't be voting. I understand Fillmore's scenario with kids and the whole thing. Of course, I want whoever's input on here. But I don't want to appoint someone to a committee that can't actually be on the committee.
So
whatever jargon, as long as it's worked out.
I'd love to suggest that we find out the answer to that, because 9th through 12th grade enables the student to follow the process all the way through. A 12th grader might get half the way and have to go to whatever's next when they graduate. Whereas if there's an option for a younger student to be involved, they're gonna be inspired, empowered, they're gonna make relationships with adults who care about the same thing. The students that worked with me on the Human Relations Advisory Committee, I bump into them and they're doing important things in different states in Washington, DC. It's incredible to see what they learn and how they grow through being involved in something like this. So without limiting them by just having a question, I would really like our legal counsel to be asked whether that, or our charter committee, whoever, I know you're on there, but check and see whether, because they're a Reading resident, can they vote? I'd rather get an answer than narrow it down so that an enthusiastic, motivated 9th grader misses out on those years of being engaged in such an important event.
Hopefully it's in the charter.
Yeah, and if it's not in the charter, does that mean they can't vote?
I don't know.
So I guess that would be an issue, a question.
Yeah.
Easily resolved.
Yeah.
So I guess my question on that is, how long do you anticipate the committee having to work? Because I would consider school year being a year.
Well, it's
12 months.
It's in there, 12 months, because within the charge is actually doing the first event so that there can be a debriefing, and then what's learned be brought back to the select board with a recommendation of who should be, what departments or department should then be in charge of the annual event. But the goal was to actually have them go through a cycle. And then he had to get the ratification from the select board. So sunset date was 12 months from start. Originally, it was gonna be around his birthday in February. But the committee will decide on things like that. We were advised that we should leave a lot of those specifics for the committee to decide. Because they will do the research, they will work with the different departments, whatever, and they will make the decisions about what should come next, not us. Our job was to advocate for the committee.
And my other question was, if his family ends up saying no after the year's worth of work and whatever is presented to them, what happens after that? If they do.
We still have the big vision. Like we said in this presentation, you said in your, so Reading commemorates Bill Russell resolution. We can still commemorate his legacy, all the amazing things he did to change our world. And we can talk about him. We don't have to name the event after him, but legally we can name the event after him as long as it's not fundraising and we don't use the logo information. And Justin, in answer to a question you brought up last time, we are not asking the Russell for any money or anything. This is the town doing something to commemorate what their dad, Bill Russell, brought to our town and our world. I mean, Washington on the March for Freedom, he for civil rights, he was there. So he did, as we said, both locally and beyond. We wouldn't have had black starters on the Celtics if he had not broken that ceiling.
And my final comment is just, by no way am I equating myself to the Bill Russell scenario. But for me, having gone to the Pride events and Juneteenth and everything for these last couple of years, I can count on one hand how many people that have made me actually feel included at these events, which is unfortunate for me. But on the one hand is Fillmore, who made me feel comfortable at these events. Same thing with Sharilla as well. It's I don't want to say it's upsetting being me at these kind of scenarios where I just go and feel like everybody doesn't want me to be here in the first place. But for Fillmore to do what he did the other day with me really made a difference. And, you know, it's we're doing this so everyone feels included in Reading, you know what I mean? And hopefully it's a great first step, not just for me, but for everybody else. Because as you can tell, I can handle this. It's everyone else that I care about in those scenarios. So I would hope that this would be a 5-0 vote tonight as well. Just seeing the other residents here who may have laughed at me, I don't know who they are. They've never come to anything that I know, and like I said, I've been to things. And that's a good thing, because they're showing interest and showing up and feeling included in something and felt the need to speak. You know what I mean? That's what this is about. It's so for me, like I said, it might have looked like I was going one direction with this, but I was trying to refine it down for some specifics. You know what I mean? But I thank you, Fillmore, for what you did. It's the little things that actually matter. So.
Hey, Chris, I truly respect your questioning and the things that you want clarification for and things of that nature, but just know you're always welcome to the cookout. So just know that. I appreciate you very much.
So thanks, folks. I think we have an opportunity to drive this ahead with some great volunteers. That's kind of what we're hearing. We have had 20 months. It's not true that it wasn't pushed ahead for a reason. It was pushed ahead because we basically couldn't handle it. And now we have this great opportunity with folks motivated to get it done. There are some people that are very special that this community recognizes. You made a comment, Carlo, about how do we decide? Well, number one, we do decide. We pick who it is. Later in our agenda, we're going to talk about naming a field. Sorry, it's kind of comparing things. I mean, there's a special committee forming just for that. And the goal is to get this input and to bring it together. There are a lot of folks there. These folks are willing to do the work to get it done. I think that's awesome. You'll get broad input out of that, which is fantastic. It will help the whole community in terms of what we're doing here. The point here is that we can honor Bill Russell. We said we would, we should. This, I think, is the right way to do it. Thanks.
Any questions? Karen?
I just want to thank you all. I appreciate that you followed up on a lot of questions we had last time and you really fleshed this out, and I'm ready to move forward on this. Thank you.
Just wanna say thank you. I had a meeting with the three of them. They've answered all my questions and I appreciate it. And I just wanna bring up something that really doesn't have anything to do with this per se, but does a little bit, is that I said this before and I was kind of criticized for it, but I think Mr. Pless's position within the town would be better fit under the town or schools for situations just like this. That's all. And thank you
Can you
again
please,
for doing.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Mr. Pless's position on the
DEI director.
DEI or the social justice, equity.
Equity and social
I think
justice.
his position would be better suited under the town umbrella or the school umbrella, not the library, cause it really prevents him from being able to deal with situations like this and maybe able to put this or ad hoc committee forward for now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other discussion? Ready for a vote? Yes. All those in favor? 5-0, thank you.
Thank you.
Let's go!
Y'all love all y'all.
Yes! Woo! Let's go! Discuss charter review committee update.
Yeah, I'd love a quick.
Are you guys ready for the charter review update? I'm sure you are.
That's why they're sitting there still.
Get ready for this. Get ready. No, you can't leave. You can't leave.
He's joking.
Charter review, can't leave.
Should we take a break?
All right, let's take a 5-minute recess.
Totally joking, just to make sure.
Okay, we're back in session. Next on the agenda, Chris Haley, Charter Review Committee update.
Good?
Yeah.
So, yeah, the Charter Committee met last week for the first time in 3-4 months-ish because of elections and obviously other things taking place. So essentially, what we've done, August 29th is going to be our public forum at the library where the public can come and voice their feedback. We're going to, each one of us is going to take one article from the charter and just read that up there, any changes that we've made to it. For the most part, the big discussion has centered around RMLD's part in the charter, whether or not they have to be in there at all. It's kind of progressing down the path where they're still in there, but a lot of what is written is stricken out, and then a couple other items that are in there. So RMLD's legal counsel has had their opinion. Ivrea and Ethan are working on theirs to what was presented to us by Phil last Monday. The recall process is changing a little to make it a little bit more restrictive. What else? The big change overall is he, him, them, theirs, all the pronouns taken out of it and just put into generalized terms. Selectmen to select board. That's pretty much it. A lot of our discussion, when Bill was there, he had a couple ideas that didn't really pan out. But other than that, it's been pretty, we haven't voted officially on anything yet, but for the most part, I think it's unanimous in all the changes that we've made. So a lot of good input on the committee by, as you know, all the diverse residents that are on there. So yeah, that's essentially it. Is August 29th is our next meeting with the public forum. We've already solicited all the boards and committees for feedback prior to that twice. Laura bombarded people with asking if they wanted changes. That's what we did this past Monday, is incorporate some of the feedback from Town Forest and other bunch of other boards and committees. The overall thing with those is they're not in the charter, like not Town Forest specifically, but other boards or committees. There's a bunch of them.
Missing.
Correct, but the reason to omit them and keep it in the bylaw is it's easy to change in the bylaw, whatever that is.
Okay, right, the charter's every 10 years.
Correct. So any other board and committee is covered under Article 4.14, which is other boards or committees. And then we can do whatever we want under that, essentially. But that's pretty much it. We've offered public comment in the beginning. David Zeke came twice, I think, regarding recount procedures. And that's pretty much it. Unless anyone has any questions, I might be able to answer.
I just have a question, as you brought up on RMLD, does that sound like there'll be some common ground found, or is that something that's gonna be a discussion going forward?
I don't think it's anything, because they're covered under Chapter 90, or what is it? They're covered, RMLD itself is governed under Chapter, whatever it is.
Mass General Law, something like
Yeah,
Mass
it's,
General Law.
what is it again, Chapter 40, 90? It's some chapter, they're covered by something. So like, if our charter says we do X, Y, Z, and it's in contradiction with that, that supersedes this anyway. So this one sticking point, I guess, is who we appoint to the audit committee or something with RMLD, or we reserve the right to audit the select board, I believe. And I think that's sticking in there. It was stricken, but it's going back because we want, we still want that option to be able to do that, and legally we can ask for it. But for the most part, there's no like squabbling kind of things. It's just whatever town council will work out, because it's above our pay grade, the stuff that's in here, you know what I mean? But like I said, a majority is being stricken from there and a couple sentences being added, but that's pretty much it. That's taken up a meeting or two, just RMLD wise.
Yeah.
regarding that.
At your last meeting, did you discuss our future agenda about discussing the elections? Or you didn't?
Yes, no, I brought that up at the end. Laura is gonna be looking into that. I mentioned about us doing the elections in May. That didn't go to like the full committee on that. It's more of, I know we're saying that we'd like to have it in May. May was great, nice weather, et cetera, like, but that is, Laura's looking into it, because if one item changes in the charter pertaining to that, other items might have to change as well.
Right.
So we kind of have to get the consensus from the community, us, whether or not we want May. I want May, but it's not up to me.
Or April, or does it, like late April?
I think it has to be, there's something in there where
Well,
it
yeah,
has to
again,
be
this
the-
is, I don't wanna get into it.
So, by implication that we can't change it again for 10 years.
Correct.
Correct. So we gotta get it right, if we're gonna do it at all. Correct.
My bigger concern would be town meeting, because doesn't the election have to be prior to town meeting? If you push
Correct.
the election to May, that means town meeting moves to the end of May.
No, I think it still stays the same.
I'm pretty sure the
No,
election
Laura
has to,
mentioned that.
the election has to be
after the
before town
election.
meeting. I'm fairly positive on that.
Cause we're voting town meeting members.
Correct, but I believe it allows town meeting to, by having town meeting in April and the election in May, it allows the April people to still vote. You get elected in May, and then you have X amount of time before November town meeting to be able to.
We're not, okay, let's
get
stop,
acclimated.
yeah, let's stop.
I believe that's.
Yeah, let's, thank you for the update.
Yes.
We'll leave it at that.
But.
Yeah.
The main point, August 29th, public forum.
Good.
Be there or be square.
Yep.
It's 7 o'clock in the library, I think, is what we said. It'll be posted eventually.
Yep, August 29th, thank you.
Yes.
All right. 9:10, hey, we're not doing too bad. Discuss volunteer appointments, subcommittee recommendations, appointments, vote to appoint candidates, boards and committees, a full list is in our packet. So I guess I'll start with Melissa and Karen to kick off, I guess, their deliberations or whatever you want to discuss. Because there's gonna be a lot of different motions, so I'm gonna kind of change what I said earlier, because this is gonna be a lot of different motions.
So do we have a motion for,
I don't know what he has.
okay. Maybe
What do you
that's,
have,
maybe
Chris?
that's the thing to start
Yeah,
with,
we
we haven't
do-
seen motions.
That's the other page. I have, one sec, there's tons of people.
So the way, if I might, the way I wrote up the motions was, I did all of the boards that Karen and Melissa had agreed on when they had a consensus of who they would appoint. So I did up all the motions, those. And then there were 2 boards that they wanted to bring to the full board to have more of a discussion on. And so I just left those motions blank for you to fill in after you all have a discussion. It was just 2 boards that they didn't agree on.
What were the 2 boards, please?
Board of Health and CBDC.
I think that's the update. Thank you, Caitlin.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, perfect,
Oh.
it's done, thank you.
But so Chris has a list of every person, renewal, new members, everyone. It's a lot.
Right, it's a lot.
So would it make sense to walk through one committee at a time? Because just,
I
even
think-
if you guys agree, there's still, sometimes there
I
are
think,
more applicants than vacancies.
I think so, but I forget how, I know every year we do it maybe a little bit different, but it's, I think,
Meaning, okay, so do you not have in front of you which ones we recommended, is that why you're asking this?
I don't think I do, no.
Okay, alright,
Yeah.
I guess
We
we're gonna
didn't see
need to
anything.
then,
We just
okay,
saw the
sorry.
kind
I see all the different colors, I'm missing
Yeah,
colors mean
they
something?
don't- they don't
mean
have-
I
anything?
can pull up the recommendations. Those I just typed up in the motions. So Chris has those, but I can pull those up if you want.
Alright,
If that's
that would
the
be,
way that you want to
Put on the screen.
that's how you want to do it.
email them to you, would it be easier to email them to us quickly? I was wondering how the packet was gonna get updated,
Yeah, I was kind of stuck with it too.
sorry.
Whatever.
That's what I think we should.
Because we just finished up
Exactly, I know,
Yeah.
so
It's just happened
would it be better
people
if
to
you
get in
email
the
it to us and people, you 3 can pull it up? Well, I mean, all of us can pull it up, but we've seen it before, so, or would you wanna see it on the screen?
I think we should go by committee, that's my opinion,
Okey-doke.
my
Right.
opinion. If anyone, I'll,
Okay, so
I
she's
can
gonna put
be
it on
by
the screen.
committee too. I just went right down the list.
okay,
So we can go down the list in order.
yeah. Okay, so I guess we'll have a motion for affordable housing. Second, any discussion, appoint.
We could still go through all of these in one motion.
Because there's two we have to pull out.
So the way we've done in the past, we have pulled them out.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's in the motions, we say we're gonna approve all of the recommendations of the VAS committee, yada, 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 with the exceptions of or just a motion to review all of the recommendations with the exceptions of the Board of Health and CPDC. Do you wanna do something like that? Because then we can, I think we can go through all of those. Those are the recommendations where we have the agreement, you can ask any of your questions. But at the end of the day, then the motion could be, I don't know what you have in your hand. The motion, it could be an overall, overarching motion.
You have individual motions, right?
Well,
Oh, and
two things. First, I cannot vote on the housing authority, even though I can vote on the housing
So
authority,
maybe
I'm
that needs
still
to be
not
pulled out
voting.
too then, fine.
And Karen cannot vote, or unless she wants to, on the audit committee, so we have to pull that out as well.
Why would you think I can't vote on the audit committee?
Because your husband is getting appointed.
There's no issue.
You left the room 3 years ago.
I did.
I think you did, but I don't think it's an issue, is it?
Well, we didn't interview him, so that's why it didn't occur to me, so I'm open to discussion. If you need me to leave the room, I will abstain, it's not a problem.
I'm only being cautious because I remembered you left the room 3 years ago.
Alright, I
And
don't have
if
a
you don't
problem
want to.
abstaining, it's fine.
All right. And I'd like to pull out ZBA as well, because Jim Steenbruggen texted me that Karen reached out to him to say he didn't make the committee. And I don't see how that's possible, since we didn't vote on this yet. I don't see how you have the authority to tell someone they didn't make the committee when we didn't vote on it yet. So I wanna pull that out as well.
So, Okay, well, the call I made, we discussed it in the VASC. We had too many applicants for that committee, and we wanted to find out whether he would be willing to serve in another committee. And I did make that call, so I apologize, I didn't connect.
Yeah, I don't think that's fair for the VASC members to tell someone they didn't make the committee before we vote on it, so. I have Board of Health, anyone can chime in on anything else. Board of Health, CPDC, Audit,
Housing authority.
Housing Authority, and ZBA. So I have 5. Does anyone have any other? I know what's in our packet is different than what, but they've already told us, verbally, that Board of Health and CPDC were there, where they didn't come to an agreement, and then we added 3 more. So does anyone else wanna add anything based on recommendations? And I guess, if I remember correctly, when you guys interview, because I did it when I'd interviewed with you and Mark, we asked them if they wanted to be full or associate. So when we're making these appointments, we're making them fill that position, correct?
Yeah, we noted those.
All right, and are those aren't
They're
noted?
all right there.
They're all right there, okay, I got you, all right, so I'll have to read that, okay, all right. So, I'm gonna have to review that, Caitlin, real quick, if you can not scroll yet, and just, let me just read this real quick. Let me know if anyone else needs time, or I'm done with this slide, if anyone else wants to. Okay.
Let me know when you want me to scroll down.
Yeah, hold on, yep.
All good.
All good here, you good.
Okay.
Right now, we see Board of Cemetery Trustees, anything below that?
Okay.
We see Board of Health, Board of Registrars, okay. All right, I'm good with this. Anyone else have any comments? Mark, you good with the screen?
Celebration, yep.
Good, all right, scroll up, please. This is climate, right, climate, okay.
Yep, I'll just move it up a little so it's
Yeah.
up top, next page. There you go.
give me a second, sorry. My thing is sensitive here. Okay, all right, conservation, we need the full view on that. Conservation. We have 5 vacancies with only 3. That's all we have is 3 applicants?
2 technically. Technically, we only had 2 applicants.
Oh, one's a re-up,
Martha's a re-up.
Okay. So we need more on that one. Okay, constables. We have 1
One re-up, 1 new.
1 re-up, 1 new, okay, good. All right, Mark, you good? All right, council on aging, I think is a big one. Council on aging, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 with 4 vacancies, am I seeing that right?
No,
Oh.
no, some of them are re-ups.
Oh, some of the re-ups, sorry, so I got 3 re-ups, the green, on the blue.
Yeah, and then Nancy was an associate and moved into the full membership.
Okay. All right. So we're good, and that was full agreement by you guys. Okay, cultural council. I'm guessing with all those vacancies, we're good. Okay, historic district commission. We have some re-ups and what, 1 new person?
No, all
No,
re-ups.
all re-ups. I thought the colors meant something, but I know some of the names. All right. Historic commission, historic district, okay, good. Housing authority. We have
1 new, 1 re-up.
a re-up and 1 vacancy. All right, so you guys had to pick 1, right, because there was more applicants. Okay, RCTV board. All right, so RCTV board, we have, where are we, housing authority? Did we miss Mystic Valley,
We have no applicants.
no applicants, all right, sorry. RCTV board, right, all right. That was full agreement on the RCTV board?
Everything on this list was fully agreed to.
Okay, all right, so I wanna pull that out, RCTV board, please. RCTV board, all right, recreation committee, we had a bunch of re-ups and some new. Okay, and that's all the associates, so we had what, 3?
We're missing someone on rec. Laura Newton should have been an associate member too. Correct. It's not on the list.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it should be added or someone should be removed?
No.
This one?
Yeah, it should just be added, cause we had 3 associate spots open. We moved Eric Beamer to a full spot. So we just needed to add 1 more.
Okay. Laura Noonan,
Yes.
Okay. That was,
sorry.
No?
that was consensus?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right, town forest committee. Town forest committee, 3 vacancies, only 1, okay, 1 re-up. Okay, so we need help on that one. Town forest committee, trails committee. We have. Was that one? Trails, okay, good. Then ZBA is the last one, right?
Yep.
All right, and then we're pulling that one out, okay.
Question for a second on trails.
Sure.
So there was, I
1,
noted,
2, 3,
John Castrinos is an associate seeking full, and you kept him as an associate in the recommendation. You moved Ace Sweeter to full. Is that right? Sorry.
Yes, we had some feedback from the chair that he may be willing to step up and be chair.
Aha. Okay. Okay, I'm good with that.
okay. All right, everyone good? So we're pulling out Board of Health, CPDC, audit, affordable housing, ZBA, and RCTV. So we need a motion to, I guess, exclude those, right? Is that the best way to do it?
If you want. So I would just move to approve VAST recommendations, removing the audit committee, Board of Health, CPDC, RCTV, Zoning Board of Appeals as
No, housing authority.
Housing authority.
So that's a motion?
Yes.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? 5-0, okay, so I guess we'll go alphabetical. Board of Health?
Audit Committee.
Oh, sorry. Alphabet, huh? Audit Committee.
Move to appoint Stephen Herrick to a full member on the Audit Committee with the term expiring June 30th, 2027.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, all those in favor? All those opposed?
Abstain.
Okay, thank you. All right, so that's done. So now Board of Health. Board of Health. Okay, so, I guess we don't have a motion, so, do you guys wanna kick it off, or we should just?
Are we doing a motion first or discussing
No,
first?
because if there was a consensus, there's no motion.
Okay. I'm happy to kick it off if you want me to.
Yeah.
For the Board of Health, I supported putting Sal Bramante as a full member and Sophie Hansen as an associate member. I think what we're missing from the Board of Health is someone that has knowledge of the restaurant industry. I will acknowledge that 2 members of the Board of Health did email Karen and I supporting that differently. They wanted Sophie as the full member and Sal as an associate. I looked at both of their not resumes, but applications. And Sal's experience in the restaurant industry, I think, and seafood in particular, would be very helpful to our board. When you go on the state's website and look up local boards of health and what they're supposed to be responsible for, that the first thing that comes up is food and service. So I think our Board of Health is missing that, so I had supported Sal for full and Sophie for an associate.
Karen, comment?
I just had the opposite. I agreed with the chair and the vice chair of the Board of Health, because Ms. Hansen comes in with, I believe she's a licensed social worker with lots of emphasis on mental health, and she was incredibly impressive, and I know with our coalition, this is such a serious concern for our community. And the fact that she also works at Children's Hospital brought in the interesting dynamic of her being able to speak to the pediatric side of things. And Mr. Bramante, I didn't really see him as a restaurateur. I see him as a fish wholesaler, and again, he's used to the regulatory environment, so I don't have a problem necessarily with him being on the Board of Health for food safety reasons, but I felt that Ms. Hansen was a stronger candidate for the voting member. So I voted for Sal to be the associate.
Okay. So we can do one motion at a time, or wait, Chris, probably Mark, do you have any comment?
Yeah, so as I was going through it, I really like Sophie's background also in terms of bringing the mental health side to it. I think that's what we are facing more than anything in terms of a community, in terms of the world right now. And I think to me, that's the strength that I really would like to see. So I would support her as a full.
Okay. That's clear, Chris?
Thanks, Carlo. Yeah, while I do see that obviously the mental health need here in Reading and everywhere else is going up and up, I guess for me, if we don't have somebody in food safety on the Board of Health, I would see that as lacking in that department. considering that essentially, not that people are dying every day because of food-related issues, but I've seen so many recalls lately as well regarding food items. It's more of, I think if we had to require, like we have to require a doctor to be on the Board of Health, I think that there should be a requirement for somebody that has to deal with food safety. Now, whether or not that's pigeonholing too many people to be requirements, that's not up for me to decide, but I don't see why we wouldn't want somebody dealing with food safety in Reading. So that's my opinion.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Both are equally important, but at this time, if we're going by consensus right now, I would support Sal being a full and Sophie being an associate. And, since we've had some turnover recently, there'll be opportunity for Sophie to move up to a full and into a meeting. So if we were voting right now, this is just consensus and just we're all talking, I would support Sal as a full and Sophie as an associate. So it's okay if we do that motion first, since that's the consensus of the board?
Sure.
All right. Please.
Move to appoint Sal Bramante to a full member of the Board of Health with the term expiring June 30th, 2027.
Second.
And Sophie Hansen as an associate member to the Board of Health with a term expiring June 30th, 2027. Is that?
one motion or is?
Well,
Yeah.
I think we can do it as one motion.
So,
Because we can do them separate, it doesn't.
We just adopted it, just saying.
I guess.
But here we don't have agreement.
Oh,
Okay, all right, so
We can do them separate. I just want to clarify.
Okay, yeah, let's take two votes. I think
Okay,
it's cleaner,
that's
sorry.
fine.
I didn't understand.
I just want to clarify, are both of these expiring in 2027, Caitlin? Because I know there's
Yes,
some.
you got it.
Okay.
All right,
Some are 2025.
So let's go to one motion, please.
Okay.
Well, two motions.
Move to appoint Sal Bramante to a full member on the Board of Health with the term expiring June 30th, 2027.
Second, thank you, Melissa. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? 3, all those opposed? 2, thank you.
Move to appoint Sophie Hansen to an associate member on the Board of Health with the term expiring June 30th, 2027.
Thank you, Mark. All those in favor? All those, 5-0, thank you. All right, so CPDC is next. So if I understand this correctly, we have 2 incumbents and 2 applicants, new applicants, right? Okay. And, okay. So do one of you wanna kick it off, or?
I'm happy to again if you'd like me to.
Sure.
Definitely not an ideal situation, but I do think that CPDC is in a spot where they need to be guiding Andrew a little more and listening to our residents, and I don't think that's happening right now. And so I did support putting John Arena and Guy Manganiello on the board as the new applicants in the full positions, full members.
Okay, and Karen, please.
So I don't think we have a policy of not reappointing incumbents when they're serving very well and have a lot of institutional knowledge. I'm also leery of introducing 2 green members to this very important board as we struggle to meet the state requirements for the MBTA communities. And so also I spoke with the vice chair of the CPDC, and she wanted to make sure that the full select board understood that Mark Wetzel comes with some amazing background and stormwater knowledge that this very technical board needs, and
And thank you, Mr. Durazo, for coming up there and saying that. I don't know if I said exactly the same thing. But notwithstanding, we very much appreciate your consistency and all of the investment you've made in this board and your institution of knowledge of what has happened before and why decisions were made. I just, at this junction, what I did say, and what I think we both agreed on, is that this is the kind of board where you could really use more associates to sort of start getting up to speed and building up to positions, because it does turn over. These aren't lifetime positions. So we unfortunately do not have for this board. So I don't know if this is a charter change or what the mechanism would be. At a future meeting, I might like to propose that we consider adding a couple of associates to the Community Planning and Development Commission so that we have more room to bring up newer members. So getting back to the task at hand, so I am a little concerned that I spoke to Mr. Magnello and made him aware that if he kept reiterating that he has lots of projects, he's all filled up for the next 2 years. But he says that he has time for this, but I specifically asked him if he was aware that any of his projects that come before the board, he's gonna need to recuse himself. And so he did tell me that he didn't think anywhere before the board, and I left with that impression. So now it sounds a little different, but I did make sure to talk to him about that so that he was aware. And I also mentioned that when we do have, any members have conflicts with their professional jobs, we can make it time available to speak with town council so that they know what disclosures are available and where the boundaries are.
What were your 2 picks, please?
My 2 picks were to Mark Wetzel and Tony Durazo.
Okay, got the 2 incumbents. Okay. Chris, do you have the?
Thanks, Carlo. For me, typically I always go the incumbent route as well. But for this, I made MBTA communities to be a big part of my campaign when I ran. What I saw last Wednesday night, the town needs to go a different direction than the way that it's been headed. And that's the way that I am voted now as well. So it would be for John Arena and Guy Manganiello.
Okay. Yeah, I've been the liaison to CPDC for a number of years, I think my whole 4 years, I think, and Tony's been a great member. Mark, I don't think I've ever met. I haven't been to too many CPDC meetings, and maybe we just didn't cross paths. But I think that there's some, I'm not gonna say shake up, but I think some new blood would bring some diverse thoughts to this board, so I would also support John Arena and Guy as well. Yes.
I didn't speak yet.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mark.
No worries, no worries, no worries.
Keep on time.
No worries. So, a few things. I think Mark is new blood. I think that's what the color means, that he was just appointed to the last cycle through, so I think he is new blood. He brings an amazing background, and I think it's critical to keep that there. Tony has been a great steward to the community as well. I'm very uncomfortable with attempting to create an ideological shift in the board. In your comment, Chris, about, this is, it has to change, this is what's needed. It needs to be discussed. It doesn't need to change. We all have to be discussing these things. I'm very concerned that this potential wholesale swap over here is more of an ideological shift than anything else, and I don't think that's called for. I'm also very uncomfortable having a developer who may or may not have business in front of the town, but he certainly does now, being on the board. I don't think that's appropriate. I don't think that's the right fit at all. So I'm uncomfortable with Guy Manganiello being on the board as an option. And I think Mark and Tony are the right folks to kind of manage us through where we are and manage us through choices and the ability to look at different options. I think that if we just look at attempting to get an ideological shift, we're going to start whipsawing through volunteer committees, and that's a really bad idea. We've got people that have been great stewards for the community in terms of their service, Tony being a great example of that. That's the right choice here, and Mark Wetzel, you won't find this background in other people. And, you know, I've known John Arena for many years, that's not a strength that he's gonna bring here. That's not who he would be for this board. I see us having more and more needs in these areas. I think Mark is the right guy. I think Tony is the right guy. Those are my two choices.
Thank you. Yeah, sure.
So just a couple things. I was with you and was also hesitant of putting Guy on the board. In our interview, he made it very clear that any of his projects that he has planned out for many years to come have already been through CPDC, and he is booked for many years to come. He has nothing that will come before the board. Also, this isn't personal, and I hope that neither Tony nor Mark take it personal, because you're saying there needs to be a discussion. Last week's discussion for MBT communities, which is very telling. The community wants the pushback of going the minimal route, and I'm not sure that CPDC is giving that pushback to Andrew. And I think that we need to see that. And it was very loud and clear of what the residents are looking for. And it's not what has been put forward. So those are just my
So again, I think we need to be really careful. Folks who have come to the meetings represent a point of view. They do not represent the entire community. Attempting to kind of legislate that change, for example, there was a discussion of let's just fight it. If we as a town were to do that, I think we would find ourselves in the worst possible position, finding out a month before things have to be done that we may have to do something in 30 days. It's a chance for a disaster. There's no reason to go that way at all. We need options. I didn't attend the meeting. I did read about it. I did kind of follow what was going on. I understand there are a lot of options. That's where we ought to be, and we ought to narrow down and figure out what they are. To try to legislate what's happening here based on folks that have been sharing a strong voice. Important to listen, not okay to change, to say, hey, this is what we're gonna do. The community has not voted. The community will get to vote, but they have not voted yet.
Actually, the community won't vote, it'll be town meeting that votes, so.
Our
we need-
elected representatives.
But, so I do think that those meetings are telling, there's a lot of new people, there's people from that, and it's not, I am not hearing, let's, fight this. It's more just, we really want the minimal option, and I don't know that that is being heard by CPDC and Andrew. And it's not that, I don't want a board that's just pushing my view or a single view in any case. But I think we need people that are pushing a little more and listening to residents a little more.
I just need to reemphasize, listening to some residents, not all. That's why it's important to have options. We have to have options. We can't just kind of say, here it is. I think if we do, we run the risk of it just failing.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Chris?
Thanks, Carlo. I think we are having the discussion. Nobody's guaranteeing that John Arena is gonna be dead set against MBTA communities and all of this. That's not what we're saying. We're having the discussion now, whether or not, like I mentioned, I ran, part of what I did was because of MBTA communities. I know Melissa did as well, Tara did as well, because we all had different viewpoints. We might not be correct. It's not up for us to decide. It's more along the lines that the way that business has been going as usual for CPDC has put us into this position that I disagree with. It's the same thing with the smoking ban with Board of Health. I'm dead set against it. Everyone agrees that smoking is bad, and I've never done it, nor will I ever. It is what it is, but that doesn't mean that we're now removing people from the Board of Health because of a smoking thing that they voted on. We put them there, they voted, and here's the end result. And now we're up to CPDC. We put them there, and then we're gonna see the end result. And if that is that it goes along with a majority of what the community wants, then that's what they're getting. And if that is for maximum compliance with 10,000 units, that's what we're getting. Otherwise, that's where I'm at. We're not nitpicking and pulling people out from all various boards and committees. I mean, this is shaping Reading for the foreseeable future. It is critical, the MBTA community scenario, and this is why I'm voting this direction.
Chris, I just wanna ask you, I understand that you and Jackie appointed Mark Wetzel to the CPDC. So you are aware that he was the director of DPW and AIR for many, many years, and we've already talked about the conservation aspect. So he's bringing deep knowledge. So I'm trying to reconcile. Now we're bringing two gentlemen. I believe both admitted they hadn't been attending meetings. I don't remember if Mr. Arena did. That was over a week ago. I believe they both said no, they hadn't been attending meetings. Obviously, Mr. Arena has been a select board member and he mentioned his involvement in creating the 40R district. But I really need to ask you how you can reconcile, you just appointed this gentleman and now you really want to appoint folks that are gonna have to come up to speed at a very critical juncture for this community.
And I will answer your question rather than me saying I've already given my opinion. How long has Mark Wetzel lived in Reading? And there is your answer. So this is I'm going with John Arena and Guy Manganiello. He's been here for a year, correct?
No.
Incorrect.
Incorrect.
How long has it
Been
been?
a scout leader for my kids.
Sorry, I'm confusing it with somebody else.
He's been here a long time.
I don't know why, it always seems as if I'm all of a sudden getting, not focused on, it just seems as if, why do I bother explaining why I'm voting for people? Why? I should just go ahead and just be like, this is who I'm voting for, you wanna find out? Meet with me separately. Every time it's criticized on what I do, nobody else, just me. Every single time. I'm done with it. That's who I'm voting for. And that's what I'm doing for every other candidate that's on here as well. It's absurd, every single time. Always Chris Haley's the issue.
I think we should go for a vote. I guess, not, this is a little different than the last one. Last one was full and associate. So let's, I guess, vote. What's the best way to do this? Vote for the two full associates, I guess, right? Each full associate at separately.
Are they both full or?
They're both full, they're not,
Right, they're both full, right, so last time it was a full versus associate. Now, given we've spoken, we're going with the consensus of three of us going one direction, and two of us going the other direction. So should we vote for them together, or just wanna vote each individual person? All four, I'm okay with either one. We can vote for all four individual, yes or no, and then or we could just vote in the pairs that we discussed.
Why don't we I vote that we vote individually.
Okay, that's fine. You just wanna start? We go alphabetical order, I guess, by name, I guess?
Is everything June 30th, 2027, Caitlin? For both of them?
Yes.
June 30th, 2027. So what did you want me to do
For
for?
alphabetical, so go John Arena first,
And then who's after that?
Tony. And then Guy, and then Mark. That'll be alphabetical.
Okay. Move to appoint John Arena to a full member of the Community Planning and Development Commission with a term expiring June 30th, 2027.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? 3, all those opposed? 2. Thank you. So that will be Tony next.
Yep. Move to appoint Tony DeRezzo to a full member on the Community Planning and Development Commission with a term expiring June 30th, 2027.
Second, thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor? 2, all those opposed? 3, thank you. Guy is next.
Move to appoint Guy Manganiello to a full member on the Community Planning and Development Commission with a term expiring June 30th, 2027.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? 3, all those opposed? 2, thank you. And Mr. Wetzel?
I don't think we have to do it.
Well, we agreed to do it individually, so we'll just finish it out.
Move to appoint Mark Wetzel to a full member of the Community Planning and Development Commission with a term expiring June 30th, 2027.
All those in favor? Oh, sorry. Second. Got to add myself. Mark said second. Any discussion? All those in favor? 2, all those opposed? 3. Thank you. We're on to, maybe on to next.
Housing Authority.
Housing Authority, okay.
And you can read that.
Housing. I can read that. Housing Authority. Okay, so the Housing Authority, sorry. I'll just read this. Okay. Move to appoint Timothy Kelly to a full member on the Housing Authority with a term expiring June 30th, 2027. Second, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? 4, and Chris is abstain, okay. Move to appoint Diana Carter to a full member of the Housing Authority with a term expiring June 30th, 2028. Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? 4, and Chris abstaining, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we have alphabetical RCTV, right?
Yeah.
So RCTV. The computer, go ahead. All right, so I am going to advocate, not advocate, but sorry, RCTV, so hot in here, okay. So we had one application and we had one, we have 2 appointees and 1 from school committee, and Mr. Crook was up. I would like to see, I would like the board to consider Frank Capone as a new member to the RCTV board. And so I know, I believe Karen and Melissa were in oh God, I'm tongue twisted now.
Agreement?
Agreed on Mr. Crook, correct? Okay, so I'm just saying that I would like the board to consider Mr. Capone, and then so if you could probably have discussion first, because the motion is, so I'll open it up to anyone that's, I guess, wants to keep Mr. Crook or advocate, okay.
Sure. So I've known Steve Crook for a long time, truth be told, I went to high school with him. He has been a really good advocate for the board. And I think that as they're facing very, very difficult times right now in terms of how to maintain their identity, their funding, when they can't maintain their funding, it's going down. How do they operate? How do they keep going? I think folks who have been in there have the best opportunity to make that happen. I think Steve is a strong advocate for that, and I think that it's a pretty crucial time for them in terms of what they're doing. So I strongly support Steve going in there. I think his background is really what drives. He's been an incumbent on the board for several years. So I strongly support him.
No, thanks for disclosing that you went to high school with him. Anyone else? Karen?
No, again, so he is an incumbent, so you have that institutional knowledge, and I don't believe it has been the select board policy to just not reappoint incumbents that are doing the job faithfully. I would just add for consideration that Stephen Crook also is a long-term town meeting member, I'm not sure if he still was, so he brings that extra understanding of how the town works. I'm not sure that Mr. Capone was able to bring that to the board. And again, if there were associate positions, this is a very small board, you know, I would have no problem with Mr. Capone, but at this point, in this juncture, this is another board where we need people that understand the board already.
Thank you. Chris?
I would like to hear what Melissa had to say.
I supported Mr. Crook staying on the board. He has been on since 2018.
Okay.
He did let us know they were moving. Which
Say it again?
I didn't know actually TV was moving.
Oh, they,
Yeah,
is it public knowledge? Or are you saying something you shouldn't say?
it's in our past
It was a
meeting,
public
which was
meeting.
a public meeting, so.
okay.
Everything we did was in a public
Which
meeting.
made me second guess myself, but I was like, wait, that was a public meeting.
I know it's a public meeting. I know that sometimes things slip.
Oh, he told us.
Okay. Chris?
I'm ready for the motion.
Oh, okay. What's the motion you have?
Well, I have moved to appoint Stephen Crook to a full member on the RCTV Board of Directors with the term expiring June 30th, 2027.
Okay. Second, thank you. Any discussion? Nope. All those in favor? All those opposed? One. Thank you. Okay, that one is done. All right, so we have ZBA. Let's see, let's go to ZBA. And there was,
And Laura got added to our original motion, right, for rec committee that was next, up on the screen?
Yes.
Okay.
yeah.
All right, I'm good.
all right, and there was, so correct me if I'm wrong, there was consensus. We have 2 re-ups and 2 full members and 2 vacancies for associate. Am I correct?
Correct.
That's what's on the screen. And there was consensus on, so who's, what'd you guys decide? The incumbents stay as fulls and the 2 new people be, what are the 2 new people, please?
Karen and I agreed on Tara, Gregory, and Frank Capone.
Tara and Frank. Okay,
And so we also did agree and had this discussion in a public meeting that we could see that Mr. Steenbergen had an interest in the permanent building committee, and we agreed we wanted to find opportunities for all volunteers who step forward. So my purpose for calling him out and saying that the VASC was not recommending him was to see whether he would be interested in serving on the Council on Aging in order to participate in what is likely to be a building project coming out of that committee. So that was the conversation I had with Mr. Steenbergen. We had more applicants than we could appoint.
okay. But you did say you did not get on the committee. That's the message I received.
Well, the conversation, since we hadn't voted to the select board, the conversation was that the VASC wasn't recommending him.
That's different than what he stated, so
Well,
it's
I don't
it's
know what to
important.
tell you.
It's
I was
important.
speaking as a member of the VASC subcommittee saying
Okay.
that we didn't recommend you.
Okay, all right,
I couldn't speak for the board and I don't speak for the select board.
okay. All right, so the other applicants, so we have Megan, Jim Steenbergen, and Craig, weren't part of your discussions, or were they part of your discussions?
Megan is a lawyer,
Real estate.
a real estate attorney that works with developers going in front of zoning boards. She was another strong candidate.
Yeah, so this was a hard decision for us.
Okay.
So we
And then there was no discussion of switching full to associate. You were full consensus that Mr. Kridler and Patrick Houghton should remain full. Correct?
Yeah, we did not
There
have
was
that
no,
discussion.
okay, all right. I can see why this was tough. I don't disagree. I would, I'm bringing this forward because I just don't like that a member of our board told someone they didn't make it a committee and go for something else. We always say in our meetings, if you don't get picked, we don't call them and say you didn't get picked. I've never done that. So there's a little difference there.
So should we talk about what else we don't do that you wanted to do on Friday?
It's Friday.
Well, so Friday I got a call 20 minutes before Melissa and I were supposed to meet, and I understood from staff that Melissa had a family emergency and that I was told that you were going to step into the VAS subcommittee. And then, so at that point, I didn't think that was appropriate, and we did reschedule the meeting for Monday, and the VAS subcommittee finished the job.
Right. I was gonna fill in for the interview only, and Jackie checked with Laura Gem. So I did not.
So here's what's appropriate. Here's what's appropriate, and things happen. What is appropriate is the two members of the subcommittee, the VAS subcommittee, should speak to each other when, and that is the appropriate way that can be done. It should be done. But what really occurred to me is that the danger of an open meeting law violation, that becomes a quorum, and it was Thursday afternoon. In any case, I understand family emergencies happen, and I was looking to get to the ribbon cutting to the town forest, so no harm, no foul. But it is not a policy of the select board that the chair will just insert himself into the process. And again, it's appropriate for the subcommittee members to talk to each other. And the fact that, again, I was blindsided is really not a great way to run this board.
I did not make any outbound calls. Okay? I was informed that Melissa had a medical emergency, and Jackie called me. And Jackie Laverty told me that I checked with Laura and you can jump on. Do you want to do it? And I said, I will do it for the interview only, not for deliberations.
Okay.
And that's what I said.
And I called Jackie because I had like 4 seconds to figure out what was going on. I did not.
Fair enough. We should just reschedule. This board voted.
I just actually.
Right,
It's fine. It's not a problem.
deliberations weren't gonna take place, correct. So don't put words in my mouth that I'm trying to insert myself.
You were going to show up and start to act on the VAS subcommittee. That is you inserting yourself into the process, and I was not consulted.
I was asked. I didn't insert myself.
You actually could have said, I can't do that. I'm not on the VAS subcommittee. Let's find another way. You had an option. You made a choice. It's fine.
Laura Gem confirmed that I could do it.
It doesn't matter
Okay,
that
it
you
doesn't matter. Okay,
confirmed
it doesn't
that
matter.
you could do it. You might have said, just reschedule. This is the VAS subcommittee. We don't want any risks of open meeting law and/or the subcommittee is the subcommittee, and the select board voted that the subcommittee would do this work. So let's just move on, okay?
let's
All
move on,
right,
sure.
thanks.
Okay. So I could see, based on what I've heard, that I guess, 3 candidates were the most viable. And Jim Steenbruggen, in full disclosure, I know. I'm not very close, but I know him. I know he owns a very successful business in Woburn. And he's been involved as a resident. But I don't know what 2 are the best 2, but given what Melissa and Karen discussed, it was Tara and Frank, and Megan being a tough decision. I guess.
And to give you more background, we had previously discussed RCTV. And I know you and I have been through this before because we served on this VAS committee before. So we knew we didn't recommend for Frank to be on the RCTV, and we wanted to find some place where he could serve. So that was definitely part of my recommendation for this.
I got you.
Okay.
All right, so I just wanted to call this out because of the James Steenbruggen incident. And I will support Tara and Frank as recommended as the associates, and Mr. Cridler and Houghton as the fulls. So I'm not changing anything, I'm just want to have a little bit of discussion. Chris?
Thanks, Carlo. So can I ask a clarifying question? So Megan does what? She's a lawyer that goes in front of the,
She's a real estate attorney, so lots of familiarity with real estate issues, which is why for a long time, I don't remember how many years, but I felt that, that's generally a great candidate for the zoning board of appeals, and in general, realtors or people involved in real estate are good candidates, so I was like, ugh.
but
She only applied for one board, I think.
but she goes before, like,
She, in her, I have notes that I don't have with me, I might actually, but her experience is working with developers through Massachusetts to navigate zoning requirements.
so this is the part where I criticize decisions that are made because people make criticisms of decisions that I have made. Clearly Megan is more qualified in my opinion than Tara or Frank.
Well, I
Yet
wouldn't
here
agree
we
with
are.
that. I wouldn't agree with
I-
that. We just haven't.
He's speaking right now.
Okay, but he
That's-
doesn't know what Tara's qualifications are.
I'm saying that she directly handles, goes in front of zoning boards of appeals in general. I don't think that's like finding a dog catcher that does the animal
May I
board.
give you some more insight?
You don't have to. I'm sticking with what's in here. I just want it to be noted that it's only hypocritical when I do it, not when other people do it. And that is a problem. But I'm okay with what's in here because that is what you guys have already hashed out. So I really take issue with hearing that somebody actually has like zoning board of appeals in their own title for the most part. And here we are not recommending them, but I'm fine with it. But Karen can maybe change my
So I'll just
decision.
give you a little more information.
Feel free to change my mind.
Again, these were all very well qualified candidates. We already have one attorney on the board with similar qualifications and more. So that swayed us. Now, what Ms. Gregory brings to the board are unique, deep technical skills that are very applicable to this, and this is why we agreed that Tara Gregory would be a good candidate. And again, I explained our other choices, but just you've been in this position. It's not always, this was a hard one.
I agree.
Okay. And it doesn't mean that we don't.
But 10 minutes ago, there was a problem in being in this position, only with me. Now we're in this position and it's not a
What are
problem.
you talking about? I'm sorry, I'm lost. Point of information.
That's
I don't know
fine.
what we're talking about.
Let's go to the vote.
We're going to the vote.
Let's go.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Move to appoint Chris Cridler to a full member of the zoning board of appeals with the term expiring June 30th, 2027.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? 5-0.
Move to appoint Patrick Houghton to a full member of the zoning board of appeals with the term expiring June 30th, 2027.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? 5-0, thank you.
Move to appoint Tara Gregory to an associate member on the zoning board of appeals with the term expiring June 30th, 2027.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? 5-0.
Move to appoint Frank Capone to an associate member on the zoning board of appeals with the term expiring June 30th, 2027.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Thank you. Vasquez done. All right. Vasquez done. Next on the agenda item is discuss and vote on select board nominee for temporary membership to a permanent building committee for the recalc pursuant to section 3.3.6 of the general bylaw. So I guess since we don't have I know I'm not speaking for you, Mark, but we could just do a motion and with Mark's name on it, or we can have discussion first. You know, I've been trying to save time and do the motions ahead of time, but since we don't have a person's name attached to this yet, I guess we need to have some discussion first. Yes.
Thanks, Carl. So, in digging deeper, what we found out is that the select board nominates up to 2 people to be the temporary members that join the PBC, as opposed to the PBC appointment committee.
Okay.
It's the select board that actually nominates the candidates, up to 2.
Up to 2 and designee, or has to be 2 of, up to 2 of us?
Oh, so
Us.
not 2 of us, up to 2 members. So we get to nominate up to 2 members.
You could be one of them.
I could be one of them, and there could be another, or others,
Okay, I got you, up to 2.
up to 2.
We could appoint 1.
So, no.
No? Okay.
We can appoint up to 2. What I would like to suggest is that we appoint 1 select board member
Oh, yeah,
and
Council on Aging, I'm sorry.
and 1 member of council on aging, that allowing them
Yeah, it's
to
coming back to me.
vote as to who they think it ought to be.
What I meant, 1 select board member, not 2, so you said up to 2, but I get you.
Yeah, up to 2 total members.
Gotcha,
Yeah,
gotcha,
yeah.
gotcha, gotcha.
So my suggestion would be 1 select board member
Yeah.
and 1 designated council on aging member based on who they vote for.
And these are voting members that will be part of the active living project, correct?
On the PBC, yes, exactly.
Okay.
And then, so they're not members of PBC in total.
Right, right,
They're
right.
members on this
Yes,
project.
yes,
They're
just like-
temporary
just-
members in
Gotcha,
the project.
gotcha, yeah, gotcha, okay, alright.
Folks, did we do council on aging?
That was one of
That was part of the consensus.
That was a bulk
Alright,
consensus.
okay, sorry.
Yeah, that,
Just making sure.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so thank you, Mark, for refreshing our memory. Yes, you did mention that last time. Any other discussion?
Point of information, does it have to be a full voting member from the Council of Aging that we appoint?
So
Yeah.
we get to appoint up to 2 voting members.
Voting.
1 to 2 voting members. There could be other members. I'm not sure how. I think that it didn't ever
It's
come back.
just so you can nominate 2 temporary members, and that becomes the building committee. So others could join in, ex officio capacity, other capacity, but really to have the committee, you have to add those 2.
Got it.
2 full voting
Yeah,
members.
they're called temporary members.
Yeah, I
but
know what
they
you
are
mean.
2 full
That's what
voting
you're
members.
asking?
Do they have to be full voting members of the committee in which they're on, including, he's a full
No.
voting? Okay, that's
No?
what I'm trying to
Okay.
clarify.
Oh.
Can we
No,
have,
I don't believe it does. I mean, basically, you're the sponsoring agency, I'd say the select board, so you nominate. And then I think they would still have to be confirmed by the appointment committee, the PBC appointment committee. They just have to be registered voters in Reading, according to this.
But what Karen's asking.
Yeah.
Can one be a full and one be associate, or can they both be full, or can they both
On
be
the new-
associates?
On the
On the
new
new-
committee? Or-
Yeah. Oh.
They're both temporary, they're both
Yeah.
considered temporary.
No, like temporary, but
Yeah.
I think Karen,
Voting.
It
correct
could be
me, but
anyone.
vote, yeah, is that what you're asking, Karen?
I just didn't
voting.
know if it mattered who we appointed from the Council on Aging. Do we have to just limit it to full voting members, or does it not matter?
It
Yeah.
doesn't matter because it could be anyone, it could be a resident.
So it could
Exactly.
have been Jane Steenbergen.
And so it doesn't
taking me
need
up
to
on
be,
my advice.
it doesn't need to be a member of council on aging, so it wouldn't matter if they're voting or not, cause it could be a resident.
Okay, sorry, I'm getting mixed up.
So I'll let you speak, but Mark is suggesting
Yes.
council on
yes.
aging.
But so I don't think it matters
got
whether they're full or
Okay,
associate, because
very
it
good.
could technically be a designee that we just
Okay.
picked as a resident.
Okay, good,
Correct, yeah.
thanks.
Right, correct.
So right now, we're just
Okay.
doing
Alright.
our job as one of us tonight.
Okay.
No,
No?
I think what we're doing is we're gonna nominate 2 members
It says nominees.
With names?
with a name or an affiliation.
Okay.
And I think it's nominating it to the appointment
The
committee.
Permanent building committee appointment committee.
So strangely, the way it's set up is we have to nominate them. This board nominates
I
them.
got you as a sponsoring agency, but without a name, we just say someone from the council on aging, that's what we say?
What I would suggest is we could say a member of the Council on Aging based on the Council on Aging voting who that member should be.
And if no one wants to do it,
I
hypothetically,
don't think that's gonna be an issue.
I'm just saying hypothetically, if no one wants to do it.
Then it comes back to us, I would say,
Okay.
or it might just be 1 member, but I would strongly advocate for 2. And I would strongly advocate
Yeah.
that the Council on Aging really is, in some sense, the sponsoring.
I'm not fighting you on this, I'm just asking. I'm not-
I hear you,
I'm not
I hear you,
fighting
I hear you.
I'm just-
I think that this was confusing and it required some description, but there can be up to 2 members. I think that a select board member and a council on aging member would be great. To your question of specific names, I'd love to be considered as the select board member. On the council side, I'd love for them to be able to vote or select in their process who they would like to have. I'm certain you won't have a dearth of candidates on the COA.
Could I do member of council on aging or their designee? Is that applicable?
Or we
I think that's
designate,
okay.
is it?
We gotta be careful how we word this.
Yeah, do
Yeah,
we- are
I
we
think-
saying we want someone from the, appointed to the council on aging? We appointed that body, so are we saying we want it to be from that body? I'd rather,
Yeah, so we typically would do that. We typically would say, we want a member from the council.
I'd like to do that.
Okay, so
If
let's,
they can't make an agreement, they'll come back to us, it's fine.
I
Alright,
certainly.
I know, it's not gonna
There'll be-
happen,
so if it's okay,
it's not gonna happen.
I'm gonna try to stick to my moving things quickly. Let's do a motion.
It's 10:20, you can try again next time.
I'm gonna try every time. I'm gonna try every time.
I'm just gonna make a note real quick that that Matt said that they had to be a registered voter in the town of Reading. So I'm still kind of up in the air of how people can not be registered to vote yet still vote, but we'll get to that.
Okay, so let's have a motion, please.
Yes. So move to nominate or appoint?
Nominate.
Nominate.
So move to nominate Mark Doxer and a member of the Council on Aging to serve as temporary members of the Permanent Building Committee for the Recalc project and to refer those names to the Permanent Building Committee Appointment Committee.
Okay, second.
Question, do we need a friendly amendment? Is it me serving as ex officio as a select board member? Is that the right terminology?
No, I don't.
No?
think you're-
Okay, skip it.
I don't think so.
Second.
Karen seconded.
No,
Karen
third.
seconded.
I did second it.
Karen seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? 5-0, thank you.
I'm not ex
So we'll
officio.
communicate that to the council on aging.
Yeah. All right. Carry on the recount.
Only 20 minutes.
All right, so next agenda item is vote on extending the sunset date for Recalc Reading Center for Active Living Committee to August 31st, 2024. And I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a 5-0 vote, but I'll wait for Chris to come back. And do a motion and then the full Monty. And then we have two other agenda items, a few more, and a full Monty. Vote,
I think that
Love
means
the
what you're
movie,
thinking
not doing
means.
it.
yeah, it's an expression, it's not literal, it's an expression. And then we got select board, school committee, athletics committee, discuss and vote on execute mass clean energy, and then we have, all right, we're back, all right. So Chris, if you could read the motion for the, extending the sunset date, please.
Move to extend the sunset date for the Reading Center for Active Living Recalc to August 31st, 2024.
Second.
Mark seconded, thank you, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? 5-0, thank you. Vote to appoint select board member to school committee athletics facilities naming advisory committee. So, that's in our packet. And, since this is added to the agenda for a timing issue, it wasn't on our future agenda, I will open it up to anyone that wants to do it. So we can have a motion. So it's for two people.
Two select
Two
board
people?
members?
No,
No.
the two naming of two
Two facilities?
two facilities.
I'm happy to do it.
You happy to do it? Okay,
I nominate Karen.
all right, thank you. Let's do a motion with Karen's name in it, please. Anyone else?
I was just gonna ask, how many times did they plan on meeting? I don't know. I know that the two individuals involved, I don't know how much of an ask it is, but if Karen wants to do it, I'm fine with it.
Okay. All right. Motion, please.
Yep. Move to appoint Karen Herrick to the School Committee Athletics Facility Naming Advisory Committee.
Second.
Thank you, Mark. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Thank you, 5-0. Discuss and vote to execute Mass Clean Energy Center Renewable Energy Trust Fund Membership Agreement. So this afternoon, you all received an email from Ivrea that, what?
It's considered confidential, so
Oh, okay, I'm just.
it's gonna be a little hard to have a conversation, but I
I'm
just
not gonna have a
thought I'd remind
conversation,
you.
I'm just,
I know,
I'm
I know.
mentioning, thank you, I'm
Yep.
mentioning that we received an email about this agenda item. And I hopefully we all got it and read it. So it's been an ongoing process. This is for Green Communities, by the way. And town council made some comments in there. So we can have our own discussion. So in full disclosure, you know, Karen and I have been following all these chain of emails that have been going back and forth. And it was, you know, coming to a head and then a small pause and then came to a head again and Karen's been working behind the scenes to get Green Communities passed, because we have an upcoming deadline, correct, in a couple of days?
Our application is due on the 21st.
Right, so a couple of days, so that's why this is on the agenda. But
This is required to go along with the application.
right, but if we read the memo, we have to,
Well, yeah, no, just a little background. Again, Green Communities has multiple organizations, and I feel like, and no offense, I've said this to our MAPC coordinator, that they need to be clearer about this. So anyway, so it does need to, and now specifically the application says the town needs to be entered into this agreement at the time that the application is submitted, and we do have a new gentleman, so he's been coming up to speed for the past few months. He's been very, very helpful, very enthusiastic, really wanting to help Reading. But nobody's really been able to explain that this needed to be in place at the time our application was submitted. So that's just an explanation as to why this is coming to a head and why the time crunch at the last minute. So we all know, Vanessa, Melissa, you have to come up to speed. I'm sure you have. In joining Green Communities, town meeting was aware that we would be contributing a small fraction of every kilowatt hour into the Clean Energy Renewable Trust Fund as part of our joining. And it is a far smaller amount than we get back in grant funds, so it hasn't been a problem. For the greater community, we invested money with MAPC to have MAPC come out and explain this to the community, and they invited all the town meeting members, and they specifically got into the numbers. So this is just the formalization of something that we knew was coming and people understood and were okay with. So I'll just say, here, I have four points that I'm gonna share with the board. DOER, and this has been part of the behind the scenes, just the conversations with our MAPC Green Communities Coordinator. The Department of Energy does not require a vote of town meeting to enable the select board or their designee, the town manager, to execute this trust agreement. And it goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway, RMLBD has been very supportive and has been willing to be a signer. So the three signers are someone from legal at Mass CEC, somebody from the town, and then the general manager of RMLD. So it is not in the instructions anywhere that town meeting must take a vote to specifically address this very small section of the regulations. And so that was the question we've asked DOER many, many times. So the answer is no. And then there aren't too many communities exactly like Reading, because there were only about 11 communities that had to deal with an MLP that covers multiple towns anyway. So this isn't the kind of thing where we can go and find lots of comparison situations, but currently, Boxborough is attempting to enter green communities. Now that, you know, our delegation was able to get the regulations changed and we've been patiently waiting, Boxborough is going to enter green communities. And they did take a vote at their town meeting last fall, and their vote mentioned the Clean Energy Trust charge. It didn't mention the section of the regulations. It was very generic, and they're gonna get accepted. It was good, it's good enough. So, you know, I've been arguing that, is this a or I've been trying to get to the bottom of this. Is this a requirement for our application? Or is this an issue of just making sure town meeting and the select board and the community was aware that this was happening? It's been difficult getting the message or getting the answers, but from the state perspective, it is not a requirement of the application process. And what we were told, meaning the MAPC coordinator from Mass CEC Legal Counsel, was that we just wanna make sure this is a local action. We wanna make sure that the town is doing what they needed to do. They're not violating anything locally and everything's okay. So my understanding, and I've been asking this question over and over again, is there something specifically in a charter or a bylaw that says that the select board or the town manager couldn't execute this contract? What we have done as a select board in 2020, we all voted to accept a new formula for our owner's equity contributions, which is a couple million. I always get the pilot and the owner's equity. Huge amounts of money. So the select board is the authority to sign that agreement, and I don't think town meeting ever did. I think it was just a select board thing. Correct me if I'm wrong, I haven't done extensive research, but it was all select board.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question, Karen? So just clarify for me, and I may be misunderstanding what you said. You said that you don't believe town meeting needs to vote on this. Is that in contrast from the letter we received today?
Except we're not supposed to talk about that.
I know, I'm not saying
So,
anything about it, I'm just asking.
I do think we have a difference of opinion. I think there's a difference of opinion, and I've been trying really, really hard to ask very, very specific questions so that I could understand the risk, and that so the select board could understand, is there a risk? What's the risk? So there's nothing that's as far as I know, there's nothing that prohibits us from taking this action. There's also nothing that specifically says select board should definitely take this action. These regulations didn't exist. Green communities didn't exist before 2008. So that's where you get into. But there's definitely the answers that I've gotten and the answers that we've gotten, there's nothing specifically that prohibits this. So you have.
There's no other communities like Reading that have done green communities? I know you mentioned Topsfield. Are you saying they took different steps than what we're looking to take?
Yeah, they are served by an owner, an investor-owned utility.
Because they're like.
So that's what I mean, there's only like 11 different communities like ours. And then, what's another example? So it's the Boxborough Littleton, it's the Littleton Municipal Light Company. Littleton apparently has an investor-owned account in their jurisdiction, so they get to do the loophole, even though they're an MLP, but we don't. Reading Municipal Light has been in business for 100 years. We don't have any investor-owned utilities. We can't do the easy way. So we had the regulations changed. We waited for them to promulgate. We could have done a warrant article. In fact, we tried to, and again, it kept coming back to, oh no, we don't know what the regulations are gonna be, so don't do it, so it would get tabled, and I just, number 4 is, all right, so we're in the same thing, so there's an opinion about, what's an authority, and we tried to put our town council and MA, Green Communities and Mass CEC Legal in a room. Mass CEC is not gonna tell the local authority what to do, but they wanna know we're fine, and if, and we're gonna need the support of town council to do that. So we pay a town council to be very conservative and give us advice to avoid trouble. So that's where we're at. And the other fact is that, so Andrew found I don't wanna call it a loophole, but Andrew did find a section of the application process that said we got one last chance to not have to redo the energy plan. And that's one of the things we've been doing, getting RMLD to work with Andrew to update the energy plan. Well, Andrew found out and convinced MAPC that we didn't need to do that. And I was like, what? I don't know how you did that, but good job. Anyway, that goes away after the 21st. If we don't take this opportunity, we will not, if we can get all this done by the end of the year, we have another opportunity to apply. We won't get money until a year from now. So it's incredibly disappointing.
All right. I think we can go to a motion and more discussion is warranted. If we can go to a motion, please.
Hold on, let me,
You can use the agenda item.
yeah, no, I was on the thing we cannot speak of.
And we don't have to vote if we don't feel like it's gonna.
Yeah, so move to execute the MA Clean Energy Center Renewable Energy Trust Fund membership agreement.
Second.
We hear Karen first, thank you.
So now we're gonna have discussion?
So just what are our options, just to be clear? So option one is we could sign it, right? We could do that now. And if we decided we didn't wanna do that, what other options do we have here? The 21st, the date you're talking about, that's June 21st?
Yeah, a couple days.
Great. And the next opportunity would be end of this year. And the biggest disadvantage of that is any funds that we could have received in 24 disappear.
We would probably
So
receive
25 would be
funds next May or
earliest.
June. If we get in, we receive funds next May or June.
Got it.
So it's a year away.
And is Mass CEC or any of these other folks, are they willing to be more helpful and understanding that DOER kind of, their lateness is what put us into this bind? Is there any discussion of that they're saying, oh, okay, we're gonna work with you? Not really.
It's a local
Okay.
problem. It's a local problem. Like,
There's been a lot of discussion.
it's a
Sorry,
local
there's been a lot of
problem. It's
Yeah.
not, they're
Okay.
like, no, you're fine. We're not requiring this. It's just not requiring it. So,
Right, so that's their side, which
Yeah.
is, okay. And so the net cost is we lose 2024 funds. If we were to hang
yeah,
on
we
till
lose the initial
November time.
grant of about 160 or so, and we should have gotten that in September. And then assuming we spent it, we would apply in early 25 for up to $250,000.
So we're minus 1 year, go down a year in Q, and it's $160,000 essentially that we didn't get.
Chris?
Thanks, Carla. Yeah, to reiterate what just Mark just said, we lose 160 and we go down a year. Seems like we should all be saying yes right now. Then you read the 4-page letter, and my interpretation of everything since I've been on the select board is shielding the town from litigation. I am not voting on this. I'm not voting on this since we got an email at 4 o'clock, and now I understand the deadline, 21st, it stinks. It is what it is, but to get a 4-page legal analysis that I'm supposed to read that we get at 4 o'clock for a 7 o'clock meeting is not happening ever. I would always want the discussion before the vote like we've always had. The catch with this is the 21st deadline. But our house is not in order, and I am not going down the path of opening up the town to litigation. I'm sorry we're gonna lose some money. The 4 of us voted for green community stuff multiple times back in the day. We all want it to happen. We're beating a dead horse, I understand. I am not opening us up to litigation. So it's unfortunate, but
So the
it is
question
what it
is
is
who
for
would
me.
like litigate, really?
Who would,
That's
We can't- we
hypothetical,
can't-
let's not even.
We can't selectively choose when we want to interpret what Ivrea says. Out of the countless memos that she's always given us, I don't think I've seen it pointed out here that in such clarity that you guys are going to make a mistake.
Yeah, let's not.
So,
Going down a bad path.
Yeah, let's,
So I'm- yeah.
let's,
That's it for me.
I don't agree with all his words per se, but I don't feel comfortable voting on this.
Okay, so why don't we just table it?
Okay. All right,
So I need a motion to table it, or can we just table it?
no, we don't need a motion to table it. All right. This last agenda, I guess, did we get minutes, Caitlin? I'm sorry, did we get minutes?
No.
No.
No, I'm sorry, I
Okay.
did not.
And then we don't have future agenda on here that we should?
Yeah, I noticed that, that is my
You
fault.
did it on purpose, because it was a big agenda.
Not have future agenda?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
So, we all,
I can pull up the, the future agenda sheet that I usually send you.
that'd be great, cause we have to discuss another meeting.
Hold on,
Something else.
Just give me a.
So we have the complaint and the response in our packet. And I just wanted to make sure that, we can have a discussion, we can not have a discussion, but it was suggested that the response, should be made public. And it seemed kind of weird just to put it in the packet and not have any discussion about it. So that's why it's here. It's not because it was needed by our bylaws or anything, or OML. It was just like, it was gonna be weird just to have it in the packet and not have any discussion. So that's why it's in here. And I'm just going into a particular sentence. So in Karen's response, in the letter, I'm just picking out one sentence because it's in her words. I quote, "I did not speak to any select board member about the town manager selection vote, and I never shared the details of what I learned in this call with any other select board member." After what I heard today, a public comment, I would, that's very contradictory of what is in here. And that's all I'm gonna say right now.
So a couple of things. One, the next step here has nothing to do with us at this point. It's the Attorney General, if Mr. Dewar is carrying it forward. That's where it should rest. Whatever allegations individuals may make, that's all they are. If that's part of the discussion that's gonna take place with those folks, that's their right. But the danger that I see us walking into is trying to hear one bit of information, make a decision based on that bit of information, try to be judge, jury, and executioner. And first of all, that's inappropriate. Second of all, this town is never gonna move ahead if we want to just play with words and start making noise and doing all sorts of things. And I fear that's kind of where we are right now. We responded. There's a process that goes forward from here. That's it. If we hear back from somebody, from the Attorney General, then we have to do something. That's fine.
I don't disagree, but lying's not okay either.
You can't, so hearing a person make an allegation constitutes only an allegation.
Okay, Melissa?
Did you read this?
The thing that I was handed at 7 p.m.,
Yeah.
certainly not.
Okay, I think you should read this because I do worry that if this goes to the AG, we could be in trouble with what was sent with our reply and Karen's letter.
Then
That's
that's
all I'm
what
gonna say.
then that's what it is.
Yeah, I just think that we need to be aware that what we replied with the information we were given and Karen's letter attached, now this public records information, I don't know how that's gonna roll out.
Nor do any of us. And so I think that
Yep.
there's a process and that's where it is.
Anyone else? Chris?
Thanks, Carlo. Yeah, I mean, I understand that, you know, none of us expected to, once again, just like the 4:00 email, to get this dumped on us at 7:00. I share Melissa's concern after just reading the first item that's in here, Mark. I understand where you're getting at. People make accusations. We've been down this road before. I'm not gonna berate and belittle it. But when we're discussing Clancy Main and Matt Cornelis and other candidates that are listed here, that is problematic. And it's not just me saying it, it's Karen saying it, and Jackie. That is a problem. So, I don't know where we go from here. I don't know if the Attorney General gets involved, what happens, the scenario. I just know what we submitted to them with the first screenshot in this thing isn't gonna jive, and I don't know what that means for.
Thank you, I agree with Mark though, we're not, you know, we're our own body and we vote and we do town's business. I'm pretty sure we got an email that this is going to the AG's office, to Mark's comment. I'm pretty sure it's going to the AG's office. So, I
didn't get anything.
But it is, it is, sorry, it is. It's going to the AG's office, so again, I don't know, I got this handed as well. I heard the comments and I glanced at it, I did not read it myself, and that's not part of our 10:30 agenda item. So I just took a line from the response, which is part of the agenda item, and that's all I did. I have no other comment. We're not gonna discuss public comment, because we don't do that. So that's for, you know, a down the road issue on whoever's gonna bring that forth. So I think we have a lot of issues here to discuss as a board, but we're not gonna do it now. So, we don't have any minutes, but you all received an email about an OML complaint, and we need to respond by a date certain. So the email went out, and 4 of us responded that it's pretty, I'm only pulling up my phone for this, that 4 of us, Chris flexible, if there's a Zoom, Melissa flexible Zoom, Mark Zoom only in the morning, if the morning, and Karen didn't respond.
What email are you talking about?
About having a meeting to respond to the OML complaint.
Yeah, I don't know what email that is.
That Caitlin sent.
When did she send it?
Yesterday? I believe it was yesterday. Is there a special meeting on it?
Yeah, no, I didn't see it, but I am getting drowned out by the no to nicotine emails.
Yeah.
And I've been talking to IT about this. I can't do my job getting drowned. Oh, there it is, special meeting, sorry.
Alright.
Monday, 1:37 PM.
So there's a date that we need to respond.
Okay, so we had and I didn't see the open meeting law complaint either, so I'm sorry, I need to catch up. This is ridiculous. My inbox is almost full. I was supposed to meet with Kevin today to resolve that. So
Yeah, I have an
I
issue as
haven't
well.
seen the open
I have an
meeting
issue
law.
as well, but okay, put that aside, right? We're all having the same issue,
So-
nicotine thing.
You guys wanna bring me up to speed?
We had an OML violation filed against us.
So who sent it? Did Laura Gem send it to us? Ooh, shit.
Sorry, can I suggest for the moment, we just
Yeah.
looking at dates next week?
Yeah, we're looking at dates next week. We have to respond to this OML complaint.
Okey-dokey.
So we have 4 of us, I didn't respond, sorry, because I'm the one who initiated the email so we can have a meeting. I am pretty open. I have a week off from pickleball lessons. My nights are open. I have a lot of days that are open, so I am flexible via Zoom or in person. Whatever we can do, it's gonna be going to an executive session.
If I could do Zoom, I said I could be flexible at any time. time too.
And that's, so Karen, what's your availability next week? If,
Something as fun as this, let's see. Do we have a day in mind yet? Are
no,
we narrowed to a couple days?
everybody's pretty flexible.
Okay,
Mark,
Thursday morning, the 27th work?
Mark is suggesting a morning meeting, and I am not
At
opposed to
the
that.
moment, I can do Thursday morning.
We'd have to confirm with Ivrea, but Thursday morning at what time? Any
The earliest people want.
9, 10?
Well, 9:30 works for me with school.
Okay.
Oh, wait, there's no more schools.
No school.
It's YMCA drop-offs, et cetera.
So what
But
time?
I'm good with 9:30, like Mark said on Thursday.
9:30 Thursday?
I'm sure I have
Oh, I
others.
found it. It came in on Saturday. Okay.
Okay, so Thursday,
Okay.
9:30?
Yep.
Is that an agreement? And then we're gonna contact Ivrea.
Right.
If she can make it, just so that to be preemptive strike is any other day or later in that day or another morning, per Mark's request, a non-starter, I guess, let's see. Are there any days that are non-starter in case Ivrea has a meeting or a conflict?
Thursday afternoon would be really, I wouldn't be able to do Thursday
Okay.
afternoon, but
Right.
other
Can we
than
do
that-
any time between 9:30 in the morning till noon?
Yep.
Does
Is
that work
that,
with
is that,
anyone?
On Thursday?
no, other days as well, possibility in case, cause Ivrea wasn't
So I'm
looped in yet.
I'm away. Earlier is always gonna
Right, I
be
got you.
better for me on those days rather than later than 9:30. I'm happy to do.
But there's no days you can't do it in the morning right now for next week, that you prefer not to do it, I guess, is my question.
I can't do it Tuesday and
Okay.
I have let's make it Wednesday or Thursday. How about that?
Alright, so Wednesday or Thursday at
If we could.
9:30,
Yep. I'm flexible both of those mornings.
is that okay?
Yep.
Alright, and so with that, we'll have that as an agenda item, we'll do it on Zoom. Is that safe? And I'm gonna add one more agenda item to that meeting. It would be to reappoint a member of the select board to the Killam School Building Committee. So that'll be 2 agendas on that meeting.
So as a discussion,
Huh?
as a discussion,
As a discuss and vote.
so we don't all have background.
Well, we're just doing future agendas,
Is
so
this the next week meeting
yes, the next week,
you're talking about?
yes. So we'll reach out to Ivrea,
So Wednesday or Thursday or
yeah, Wednesday or Thursday. Is there a preferred day of the 2? Okay,
Thursday.
Thursday, alright, so
But I
Matt,
can do either.
Thursday's.
Thursday's preferred and
Okay.
Wednesday's our fallback.
Okay.
Alright, so August 20th.
I see on there, August 20th, the kiosk update, like, do we have like a general update? I thought it was the 16th. Like, are we waiting until August for like the next update, or are we doing this?
No, we're dealing with the vendor right now on it. It's been delayed, obviously, but I think we're getting it back on track. I can't give you a firm date yet.
So that is unrelated to,
Yeah, we just had that on as a
Okay.
placeholder, yeah, that was gonna be like, hey, how's it going, you know?
oh,
get some
alright, yeah,
feedback, But, you know.
Matt, your chair is casting a shadow.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We added a meeting for July.
Added a meeting? No.
Oh, no, that's not us. Okay, sorry, my mistake.
Well, we're trying to get a meeting with the RCTV board.
Yes.
And then,
Oh, yeah, that's the trash update. Okay, July 16th.
yeah, and I'm gonna suggest, based on the recreation meeting last night, that we move Ice Arena to July 16th. Caitlin? And we see if they're available. Well, you can leave it there for now, I guess, but I'm just saying that based on last night's conversation at rec, that we try to get Ice Arena, if available, in July, and then August is the backup.
We're also gonna need an executive session on the 16th for some litigation. So,
Executive, okay,
yeah, we were gonna try to do it tonight, but the agenda got too long.
okay.
July 16th?
Yeah.
Okay. So in theory, we weren't meeting until a month from now?
Correct.
In theory,
Not in theory, in reality.
well, except for next week.
Yeah, well, that came out of the blue.
That counts.
That came out of the blue.
Counts too.
That came out of the blue. Right, anyone else wanna add anything?
Ready for a motion?
Yeah,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
all those in favor? I did it before 11.